Are ready to go.
And welcome to it, San Diego. Great to be with you on a Monday.
We love Mondays around here. Why? Because we don't want to be depressed for 1/7 of our lives. Monday it is, kicking off a new week of Gwynn and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. with us in Peoria, where the Padres have a day off today. So full 4 hours from Tony down in Peoria. Matt Scraby's alongside here in the Odyssey Palace Studios. There is a lot of stuff to get to, including the historical debut of SDFC Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Sellout crowd, a fantastic evening, but it was spoiled by many in the crowd. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Ryan Finley from the San Diego Union Tribune, who was at the game, covered the game for the UT, will join us a little bit later to talk about the controversy. Aztecs keep their NCAA at-large hopes afloat with a nice victory at Wyoming on Saturday. There's a lot of other news items to discuss on this Monday, but before we get to that, let's check in with Tony down there. About time you get a day off, Tony. You guys have been working your butts off there 10 days in a row.
Yeah, man. Just getting these getting our legs underneath us for the real deal when it's, you might have a stretch longer than 10 games.
I imagine you'll have a few of those, yeah.
Yeah, looking at the calendar, Jesse and I starting to kind of get into it.
You do that already, huh? You do that already.
I do. I like to look ahead and kind of see.
Oh my God!
At least kind of get my mind.
In July, we've got to go here, there, and the other.
Yeah, just trying to get my mind wrapped around it. This is a year where we go to New York twice. We're like going to Toronto, so there's a lot more East Coast
you do that,
swings, which tends to make the season feel a little longer. So I do it so that I can kind of wrap my mind around it, and like I don't want to be a complainer once we get to it. You know what I'm saying? So
You've already dealt with it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I'm ready to roll. Let's get these games in. Let's watch some good baseball. So yeah, but outside of that, man, just watching the pods and a lot of these guys start to get into the competition part of spring training. You know, guys are competing for jobs and starting to see some guys starting to come, start to rise a little bit, like bread when you put it in the oven, you know what I'm saying? It starts to kind of get big, and as you start to see some of these guys who's stepping up. Who's stepping up into
Tony Gwynn Jr. Tony Gwynn Jr. today talking about yeast. Evidently.
Yes. That's right.
The agent that makes bread rise, for those who aren't sure. The overreaction for today, first of all, the record is 3-7, but I don't even think anybody's concerned about that. But the overreaction for today, Vasquez can't get it done, and we should have traded Robert Suarez. That's the overreaction for today. After yesterday's outings, Vasquez, second time, he's been out there twice. He's given up 12 hits, I think, now in 3 innings. And so, too much traffic on the bases and et cetera. I think he gave up 6 or 7 hits yesterday. 5 of them were with 2 strikes. So all of a sudden now Vasquez
only one earned.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out right in the middle of my sentence.
Oh,
I was trying to.
You were going down the road of 6. You were going down the road of that. I was like, hey.
I was talking about hits. He gave up 7 hits. 5 of them he gave up with 2 strikes. The point there that I was trying to make being that now people think that Vasquez cannot finish off hitters. So, I said, it's all craziness at this point. Suarez came in, walked the yard, 3 walks, 2 hits, 4 runs, a third of an inning. So, we should have traded him and got what we could have, got what we could when we could. On the other side, the overreaction, Jackson Merrill for MVP. It's a 2-run home run off Seth Lugo, who finished second in the Cy Young balloting last year. So apparently Jackson Merrill is ready to go.
Anything amiss on what I said there, Tony?
No, I mean, if there is an actual overreaction, bucket, then yeah, that would all be in it.
It would all be in it, right?
But,
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But this is spring training. It's the most unpredictable thing we do in baseball. Like everything else, pretty predictable over the course of a year, right? You know what a guy's going to pretty much do from an offensive standpoint. You know what you're going to get. Yeah, right. Spring training tells you nothing about anything. That is just that is the cold hard facts. You learn nothing, right? Because how often do guys have good springs, bad seasons? Bad springs, good seasons.
Yeah.
It's every year we see this. So I think what spring training does is it allows guys to get their bodies where they need to be, their minds where it needs to be. And it allows guys to kind of, win jobs. I think that's really the main objectives for spring. You're not going to tell who's going to have, the greatest team. Because really they don't start playing like baseball until we get to the last week of spring training, where guys are in there for 7-8 innings and you're seeing real lineups
right
at that point. And so, this is just a way for us to kind of see who's going to, fill out the rest of the roster.
The thing I look at, and I always caution people the same way, Tony, about spring training. You look at somebody like Tirso Ornelas, and I think a lot of fans are very excited by what they're seeing so far. Okay, the guy is 7 for 15. He's got 4 doubles already. 1 home run. He's got 14 total bases. He's got an OPS of 1,489, which I believe puts you past Babe Ruth and people like that. So, and Barry Bonds. So Tirso Ornelas has everybody excited. Give him left field. He's got it locked up. I don't know. You have to go through all of these hits, all of these at bats. Who are they against? What point in the game did they come? And I'm imagining that's what the Padres brass does. Because if it's just based on performance, Tirso Ornelas has got to be your left fielder right now, right? He's outperforming everybody based on spring training stats alone. But who are those hits off of? Again, Jackson Merrill homers off Seth Lugo. That means a whole lot more than doubling off of a double-A pitcher somewhere along the line. So these are the things that, I caution people. Get excited about Tirso Ornelas. He's done a great job so far. Oscar Gonzalez has 7 hits, and he's hitting 368. But that's not going to necessarily decide who makes this team, who doesn't make this team. Am I right about it, Tony? Because they have to put it all factors in, but right?
Yeah, no, I think Tirso in particular has a mixed bag. He's had some starts where he's facing good pitching, but for a guy like Tirso, it's not just about showing that you can do it off of good pitching, right? Can you come off the bench and get a hit, which he's done? Like the thing about a player like Tirso, who's not is a guy who's fighting for a roster spot, is he's not necessarily fighting for just the starting spot, right? Because he's not in a Manny or a Toddy or Jackson. He's not in their shoes. So they're looking at, yes, they are looking at more than one thing. Yes, when he gets to start, they want to see how he handles a big league guy. But also, you may be coming off the bench for us. Can you come off the bench and get a hit and then go into a game and play some defense for us? So he's, at least through the first 7 games, he's checked a lot of boxes. I think I was unaware he moves very well for a big dude. Like for a guy who hadn't played a ton of outfield, he looks good out there. So I think he's opening eyes. People are feeling like that because he has played well, and he is perhaps opening some eyes in spring training through this first 7. Now, listen, we're just getting really started. I mean, we got to the 24th when we go back to San Diego. A lot of games from between now and then. He's going to have to remain in that pocket where he's doing a lot of things well. He's not the only one. Forrest Wall swung the bat pretty well. Eggy Rosario has swung the bat decently. So, I mean, listen, the good thing about the competition that we've seen so far is that there's a lot of guys who are swinging the bat well and making the decision tough.
It's interesting. I read something today, and I'm looking again at Tirso Ornelas because the one thing that we are not thinking about, we're thinking about the 1489 OPS, 4 doubles, home run, et cetera. He's also walked 3 times, which is third most in spring. Nico Goodrum has walked 6 times.
Nico's been great too. Yeah.
So he's having some great plate appearances. Connor Joe hasn't swung the bat, but he's walked 4 times. I bring this up because according to our friends at ESPN Plus, the people, whose articles I have to pay extra for, they went through each and every team and talked about what they felt like during the offseason was surprising that they did not do. And when they got to the Padres, what they pointed out is the fact that the Padres were very, very low in terms of drawing walks last year. And they've parted with the 2 guys that walked the most, Jurickson Profar and Hassan Kim, and that they project to be the worst walk rate team in all of baseball. Now, this is all analytics. It's all a little bit of hearsay. But they say the Padres make up for that by making great contact, putting the ball in play, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So is that something maybe that's going to come into play here where they're going to be looking for some more patience at the plate because they parted with patience at the plate? Or is that just way too deep?
I don't think they're thinking about that at all. I think there's an approach, and particularly with, Jurickson last year, that lead to those walks. It's an approach that this team had that led Jurickson to also have the type of year that he was having. Victor Rodriguez is a big part of why this team's offense was so productive. It wasn't the most slug. They didn't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play. They're trying to hit line drives. They're not trying to get the ball in the air. So when you have that type of approach and your strike zone, walks are going to come. They're not necessarily going up there looking to walk, but if you're not going to throw strikes, this team will, I think, regardless of whether Jurickson's here or who was the other name you mentioned? Was it Kyle?
Hassan Kim.
Who was the other?
Hassan Kim. Those are the 2 guys. Yeah.
Right. Hassan started walking, he wasn't like that early in his Padre stay, but as this approach kind of took over, he benefited just like Jurickson did. And so that's not to take away who they are as players, because they obviously are terrific players, but I don't think the Padres will worry about it too much. I mean, if we get into the middle of the season and they're not walking a lot and they're swinging at pitches out of the zone, then maybe at that point they address it. But if the walks are not coming and these guys are making great contact, it won't matter. If they're chasing outside the zone where you could be walking, then it might become an issue.
All right, we are underway for a Monday day off for the Padres. Still plenty to talk about in baseball. And Sam Dykstra, MILB.com, will join us in a little bit for some spring training talk coming up in this hour. As I mentioned, Ryan Finley, San Diego Union Tribune, on the soccer Saturday night. Unfortunately, they're talking about all the wrong things after the SDFC debut, and that's too bad. But we'll discuss where that happened there and what it all means going forward. Gwynn and Chris, underway Monday. Glad to have you with us. 97.3 The Fan.
219 in beautiful San Diego. Is it cold out there? You guys both long sleeved up today.
A little windy today. There was some hail last night.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, later in the evening, we had a little hail at the house. So a little wet out this morning, but clear skies this afternoon, Tony. Temperatures in the low 70s.
Wow.
And a 40% chance of rain as the week goes
Man,
on. That's the best weather report I've ever done in my life, right there.
I'm about to say, you had a full-on weather report.
I was ready
right
there. I was prepared for that.
strong.
The reason I know this is because
I think we need this now.
yeah, I got golf scheduled for tomorrow, and my buddy said
there it
40% chance of rain tomorrow. So that they're looking at that, concerned about our golf date. I'm not really concerned.
Crazy.
It was look, Saturday night was a beautiful night. I was, I tuned in because I was worried whether I could watch on Apple TV or not without paying.
Hold up, real quick before we get into the game. At some point during our show, you will have a chance to win 2 tickets to Kane Brown at Pechanga Arena on March 13th. Limited tickets remain at axs.com. We're gonna get those tickets off at some point, so be ready. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, but I was able to tune in. Apple TV did provide free coverage of the game. Now, I think this is the end of it, though, Scrabe. I think from now on, I'm going to have to get MLS Pass to watch SDFC.
Wait, what is happening?
But they did give Apple TV Plus did carry the game. So I tuned in. My wife and I.
Wait, just so I'm clear.
Yeah.
If you have Apple TV, that doesn't then give you access to the MLS. You got to actually pay for the MLS. So that free joint we got was a one-time thing?
2-time thing, as it turned out.
2-time thing.
They carried the first game was the Sunday night, quote, game of the week that Apple TV always shows. Saturday night, I'm not sure what the special thing was, but it was on, and I could watch it just by having Apple TV. However, moving forward, apparently you've got to have the MLS package on top of Apple TV to continue watching our games. And so, that is something that I know that's what bothers me, but I don't want to get into that at the moment because what I really want to talk about is how much fun it was to watch the game and tune in. My wife and I, first thing was like, wow, look at the crowd was incredible. I mean, how many of us have watched events at Snapdragon Stadium? We haven't seen the stands filled like that.
Unfortunately, that was the big joke about SDFC needed one night, taking Aztecs 3 years.
Well, again, I'm not going to, the Aztecs have their own issues. Yeah, right. Facts are facts. But this was amazing. This is what we had in mind when we built this stadium. Was it to be jam-packed and loud and noisy? And, Scraby was talking about people playing drums and banging and yelling and screaming all night. The atmosphere was off the charts. Exactly what you would have hoped for. And then the match, we killed them. I mean, I'm not a great soccer analyst, but I can tell you we dominated the game, right? we were in the penalty box shooting, like it was a shooting gallery. The only problem was we couldn't get anything through their 12 defensemen they lined up in front of the goalie.
And then Chris said,
"Are you kidding me?"
He was so pumped up.
I was so pissed.
Shooting gallery.
Get out of the way. Let them have a shot on goal.
I think that's the thing.
They took 16. Officially, they ended up with 16 shots on goal. Only one of them made it through to the goalie. Everything else was over the bar or wide of the bar or into somebody's leg. It was like, And meanwhile, at the other end, the St. Louis team never even crossed midfield. They looked like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, for heaven's sake.
They seemed like they were getting bullied. It seemed like they didn't get it.
Go ahead, yeah.
As they didn't put much of an attack together at all in that match. I will say I tuned in from my apartment here. And I was blown away by, and I guess I should have expected it, but as Chris said, it was a little jarring to see that many people. Like it almost looked like on TV, it almost looked like there was an overflow. Like there were more people there than actually fit on TV.
I could say that's probably true.
Yeah, you were there. Was it what it
go
looked
ahead,
like
Tony.
to us?
I'll tell you after Tony.
But on top of that, I didn't see the first game, but everybody seemed to be surprised by how well the team looked and played against the Galaxy. That match, it matched what everybody had said the previous game in terms of how the team looked. And I just thought it was good soccer. I mean, I know they couldn't actually push one in, but that team at San Diego FC, they played some good soccer, man. And I'm not sure how good St. Louis is or where they're supposed to be at, but I came away impressed with that game. Now, I didn't tune in for all of it. After a while, 0-0 match, there's just other things I wanted to do at that point.
I hate to tell you, that's the thing. The 0-0
I kind of got off.
Hard for me to get out of my mind. But
if I'm not mistaken, the Lakers were playing the same day too. So it was, I had given a lot of my time already without watching the Lakers before I flipped over. But it seemed like it was an awesome time, at least initially, right?
I got to say, I went to the opening day of Snapdragon with the Aztecs, and then I went to this, and both days were equally memorable. But one thing that I think I didn't see with the Aztecs was people were in their seats ready to go. Like, there was not people filing in. There were people ready for when the lights went down. Manny Machado walks out, holds up this weird orb thing, and Manny chants happening. I think that got the crowd fired up a little bit. But you're right. I see a lot of soccer fans chastising the people who say 0-0 is boring. And I can understand why it's not, quote unquote, boring, but I want to see some scoring.
Listen, as a father that watches soccer all the time, I'm okay with the 0-0 score. For me personally, the Lakers were playing, so I had to get off the channel and go check them out.
It's only game 2. I mean, Lakers are playing well.
I still got priorities, in this bad boy. But I talked to Manny the following day, who was there. He was so excited, talking about how the atmosphere and team looked good. He was very excited. Obviously, he's one of the owners of that franchise, but. I don't get Manny to open up about much. He was more than a willing participant to talk about San Diego FC. So that seemed to be all the good stuff that happened in that game.
Yeah, last good stuff. I saw some fun jokes out there because they had a whole pyrotechnic display behind Manny when the lights were down. And some guy was like, "Can we not have Manny that close to pyrotechnics, please? It's too close to the season. Let's put him somewhere else."
That's the last thing we need. Now, obviously, this great day was almost stolen. I would say it was stolen by what ended up happening at the end of the game. We'll have to get to that. Well, can we get to that on the other side?
We'll have some time to address it before the call.
We will. We'll get to it on the other side. Sam Dykstra is going to join us in the next segment to talk. Sam Dykstra, MILB, will talk to us next, but we're going to get into kind of the incident that kind of stole the joy of that day when we come back. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
The biggest guests in San Diego sports talk appear on 97.3 The Fan.
chant that was heard tonight is unacceptable. It's outside of our values system. It doesn't represent the players, myself, the club, and it certainly doesn't represent San Diego or Baja California. It's not a reflection of who we are. We're a community full of love, support, and we believe in the power of diversity. I want to make sure that everybody knows that it was not from our main supporter group, La Frontera. They match the same values as us. They believe the same as us. They are our teammates. This came from more the general population in the seats, and it wasn't everybody, and I understand that, but it was loud enough that it was enough people, and I just want to make really clear it has no place here.
Well done by Mike Uvaris, the manager of SDFC. That after the match Saturday night. So I think everybody's pretty aware of what happened, and we just talked about the unbelievable, historic, festivity-filled evening that it was, and the great feeling we all had watching SDFC and the home opener, and so much so that, like Scraby said, I'm even willing to look past 0-0 for that. I would love to see a goal.
Yeah.
I understand the people out there say, well, you don't understand soccer. It's more than about that. You're right. I don't. But
Thank you, Chris.
But here's the no.
It's okay to admit that.
I know, but let me make my point. My point is, if you want to bring in a lot of new fans and people that aren't totally into all the intricacies of soccer, they are going to want to see some goals. That's just how it goes. The people that are, hardcore soccer fans, we've already got you. We know you're interested in SDFC. I'm trying to get other people interested. 0-0 that's a thing. But beyond that, the chant at the end of the game. And you hear Mikey Varas, that was the first thing he had to say in the press briefing after the game. He wasn't able to come in there and say, what a night, what a what a celebration, what a success, what a thrill to be a part of all of that. And that was the shame of it all, Tony, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, I mean, he had no choice. He would have probably been heavily criticized if he would have jumped to,
right,
man, what a great crowd we had tonight. And that was
right.
true. It was a terrific crowd, but he couldn't start there. Kudos to Mikey Varas for attacking that and attacking it straightforward, clear, no wavering. That's a representative that's a manager that I don't mind representing the city that I live in, based on the way he handled that. So kudos to them. Now I was kind of learning about how the homophobic slur that was being yelled at. I'm also was just kind of learning how it can affect games moving forward if it continues to happen. There's some pretty strenuous rules that, can lead up to you forfeiting a game. It can lead up to fans not even being able to go, an empty stadium, basically. It sounds like if this kind of thing continues to happen, from what I understand.
Yes. And that would be a hell of a thing if they actually had to stop a soccer match and clear 35,000 people out of a stadium. Not quite sure how they would go about getting that done.
With brooms, just sweeping them out. Like, get out of here.
You're hilarious.
Your
comedy stylings continue.
Chris, why are you so grumpy?
By leaps and bounds.
Why are you so grumpy? That was hilarious. You said, how are they going to get them out? And I said, with brooms.
Yes, it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that funny either. Though. Sorry.
You can't imagine them hitting fans on the butt with brooms as they're trying to get them out of there?
I almost just bypassed you even talking at all when you said it.
Yes, that would have been smarter by me to do
the 2 times I've talked today, I've been ridiculed, so I'm not going to talk.
That could be something that we could we don't have to even discuss. We could just put that into practice. No, but you're right, Tony. You could end up having the fans out of there. You could actually forfeit a match. I think SDFC has already nipped this in the bud. And I got to believe that they've done the right things and they've gone about it the right way. And I think the backlash from the other soccer fans is going to be enough to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. If you're sitting in that stadium and that chant's starting to happen anywhere near you, I think you have every right to make sure it stops as well. And I just don't. I think we did the right thing. Hopefully, this was some bad apples, kind of ruining an evening for everybody. Unfortunately, this time,
I would say, be wise. If you are outnumbered, trying to tell a bunch of people who be wise. It's not worth you getting jumped or anything crazy like that. Trying to stop a bunch of people. But I will say it did cross my mind because I didn't read about it until the following day. I didn't hear Mikey Vares' comments till the following day. But I couldn't help but think to myself, boy, oh boy, have we lost the moral high ground when it comes to the Dodgers on this one? I thought about that a lot as that happened. Like, man, this ain't a good look for our city.
No, it's not.
Especially considering how we go at the Dodger fans' head a lot of times for their craziness and misbehavior. This doesn't help.
The woe is me from the Dodgers fans is just too much for me to handle. Okay.
oh.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from. Chris.
Silly.
I just want to say, Tony hit it on the head, man. This is not what we want to be associated with. It's not what we want to be known for in San Diego. And I have a feeling, they put a bunch of signs up. I did see actually some pushback on Twitter about the chant. There wasn't okay. It was okay. It wasn't okay. There's no argument here. They put it up on the board 3 times to please stop doing that behavior. The manager, the team, the whole organization has come out and said it's not all right. So let's leave it out. Let's not be a fan base known for something like this when in actual reality, I'm going to say 34,500 of those people there the other night were everything that we wanted San Diego to be.
Right.
Let's put a bookmark in this conversation, Chris.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Sam Dykstra, very nice of him to have to listen to some of that. Sam, we appreciate it. MILB.com. Talking some baseball here with us on San Diego's home for Padre baseball, 97.3 The Fan. Sam, a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
We're glad to have you aboard. Obviously, this is a great time of year. Spring training has sprung. 10 games into it now. The Cactus League is underway. They're fighting for the Cactus League flag. What? I don't know.
Is that a thing? Like I'm learning about this for the first time today.
You didn't know? You didn't know? Rob Manfred will visit your organization with a trophy. Now, just some of the things sights and sounds and things that have stood out to you here the first couple of weeks, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in Padres camp, Tirso Ornelas was somebody I was going to be following pretty closely, just because the Padres made some moves this offseason to address the left field spot. They added him to the 40-man roster, so I thought, coming off a good year last year in El Paso, I know El Paso's hitter friendly, but as somebody who had been there for a few years, he finally really broke through, earned that 40-man spot. Then they bring in Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. How is Tirso Ornelas going to respond? Well, so far, 7 for 15, a homer, 4 doubles, 3 walks, no strikeouts. I mean, you can't really ask for much better than that. Everything was trending really well for him last year, and I'm not going to get too wrapped up into 7 games of Cactus League play, whether there's a flag involved or not. But it's been a strong start for Tirso Ornelas. I'm sure he's feeling that pressure of somebody who wants to be on the major league team, whether it's the starting left fielder, whether it's potentially the lefty DH in a platoon spot. He wants to be in the major leagues after being in this organization for almost 8 years now. I mean, he was signed in March 2017, and he finally is getting his best chance yet. It's been fun to see him run with that opportunity.
Sam, talk a little bit about that. I mean, Tirso has been in the organization for quite some time, but we're really just starting to hear about him over the last couple of seasons. Just talk about his growth as you've kind of seen him kind of work his way to a point where he might have a chance to be on this big league roster.
Yeah, I mean, for a few years now, it's always been, hey, he's going to be a corner outfielder. Everything's trending towards left. It's not a great arm, so it's tough to play him in right. He gets to El Paso. If you're going to play in El Paso, you need pretty monster slug numbers that have just never really come for him. I mean, he hit 23 homers last year. That was more than the previous 2 years combined. He had 22 between 2022 and 2023, jumped to 23 last year. Yeah, again, part of that is playing in the Pacific Coast League all year, but the exit velos were all trending above average. The hit tool looked pretty close to average itself. It was looking like, hey, if you can kind of cover him a little bit defensively at the very least, like if you need him to cover left field and don't need him to be spectacular, if you have a Jackson Merrill and a Fernando Tatis Jr. to cover tons of ground on the other areas of the grass, you can make it work. So we're going to pump him up pretty significantly when we update our preseason rankings just in a few days here when we do the NL West on Wednesday. But, again, they bring in some more veteran types. You bring in Jason Hayward. That's a win now move. That's a defense now move. At this point in his career. But Ornelas, to his credit, he has started hitting for more power, and I think that's been the key for him, finally cracking through on that 40-man.
Sam Dykstra.
He really moves well too, surprisingly well in the outfield. He's made a couple nice plays at Air Spring so far.
Yeah, I mean, he was somebody who was even getting a little bit of first base time last August and September because they were just trying to see, like, well, maybe this is how it works. And, as you guys know, once you start moving a guy to first base, he really has to hit. So for him to improve his athleticism a little bit and show, guess what, I can add a little bit with the glove too. I'm not a complete negative out there. That's only going to help his case. I mean, I thought coming into this spring, his best chance was going to be at that DH spot. I know I mentioned him as a platoon, maybe facing a lot of righties. His splits were actually pretty even last year. I think that's to his credit as well. But yeah, if he can edge past Joe, edge past Hayward, and show that he can provide defensive value as well, that's going to be huge for his case.
Sam Dykstra, MILB.com. Sam, the Padre fans, look, I think this is fantastic what Ornelas is doing. Some of these other young guys, we're getting to shine a little light on them. But Padre fans really only want to know about two guys in the minor league system and the young guys. And that is, Ethan Salas and Leo Dallas DeVries. Those are the two. And, we've seen a little of each. DeVries has a couple of hits. He's walked 3 times, shown pretty good plate presence. Salas banged a double a week or so ago. Anyway, where are these guys in reality in your mind? And where do you think they are in reality in the Padres organization's mind?
Yeah, I mean, they trust those two guys inherently. I mean, there's a reason why they are in Major League camp. Part of me wants to think like, well, it's San Diego. They get aggressive with everybody. They want the world to see these two great 18-year-old prospects that they have. But talking to people on the side, it's something about these two guys that they love specifically. I mean, they're not doing it with the Cash Mayfields of the world, their first-round picks from last year. They're the Todd Hightower, who they do like from last year's draft, but he's not in Major League camp like Leo DeVries is. The thing that stuck out for me so far, yeah, you mentioned that Salas double that I think went around, not at just San Diego internet, but all of prospect internet after he had a rough year last year. Like, oh, the power is still there. It's working. But for me, I think the most interesting thing is that he's walked 4 times in 12 plate appearances. Coming off a tough year where his OPS was below 600, you could kind of forgive him if he just got up there and was swing happy, right? Trying to prove to the world that, guess what, I can hit, and I'm going to show it to you against Major League arms. That's a quick way to fail. Clearly, his approach is advanced. It helps that he's a catcher, right? He's a really gifted defensive catcher. He knows the strike zone well because he sees so many pitches. But he's leaning into that aspect of his game. And if he can be that selective and start driving the ball with more authority instead of getting under it, which I think was his major problem last year in High A Fort Wayne, I think Ethan Salas is going to get right back on track this year. So showing that level of discipline is a positive sign for me.
Sam, I mean, going around the National League West, obviously, I think by most people's account, this is going to be the toughest division in baseball. We know we're very familiar with the 2 top prospects that the Padres have. Do the Giants, the Dodgers, or the Diamondbacks, do they have anybody that is young, that's an up-and-coming prospect that could show up this year and perhaps, maybe make some noise?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few types in there, like Bryce Eldridge of the San Francisco Giants. I think about him. He fits Giant to a T, and I don't mean just the teammate, and he's legitimately a giant at first base, and he looks a little bit like a draft, like he's still growing into his power. But it's some of the best raw power in the minor leagues, and we've seen it so far over there in Scottsdale. It's played pretty well this spring. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the spring breakout, which is coming up here in a few weeks as well. But then you look at the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers seem to just develop guys extremely well. They know what to target when they make when in the draft. They know who to target when they make trades. The guy who stood out, you're not going to see him this year, I don't think, but is Zaire Hope. An outfield
we saw him earlier.
Yeah, 20 years old. He's not on that level of Salas and DeVries for us yet. He's number 74 on our top 100. That's because he dealt with injuries last year, but got to see him in the fall league. He's a potential up the middle talent as a center fielder. He's made a lot of good defensive plays, and the power plays really well. He's got an advanced approach already at 20 years old. He just needs that bat, and that's going to come pretty quickly. And as he's shown, like, he is an aggressive hitter. You throw it in the zone, he's going to hit it out to right. He's going to pull the ball and get out in front of it and jump on mistakes. It's a pretty advanced approach and skill set for Zaire Hope. So he's somebody definitely to watch. Even if he doesn't come up to LA this year, you're going to be hearing a lot more about Hope in the years to come.
Sam, again, we had, what was it? Corbin Carroll was 2 years ago. And then he fell off a little last year. Let's be honest, for his standards. They're looking for a big bounce back. Jackson Merrill was incredible last year for the Padres as a rookie. We all still think he should have won Rookie of the Year. We'll never convince the Paul Skeens people of that. But my point is, after what Corbin Carroll did the first year, nobody could see him sliding backwards a little, and that's what happened. So how does Jackson Merrill, how do the Padres help him? What, the old sophomore slump thing that, I don't know if it's real, but it's happened enough to where, it's on the back of my mind a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I will give Jackson Merrill credit for, and this isn't a knock against Corbin Carroll, but traditionally he's been a little bit healthier than Carroll has. I think what you were seeing in the second half of last year was Corbin Carroll just getting used to playing 100-plus games again. Coming off that big rookie year, he looked a little worn down first half last year, made some adjustments as the season wore on, got hotter down the stretch. But I think that was part of it. I think Merrill's a little bit more used to that. The exciting thing for me is that I think Merrill can still grow going off of last year, and he's actively talked about that. Like, it worked. Everything worked offensively for him. You can't complain, but he was chase heavy. And teams are going to try to take advantage of that, and that's potentially where the sophomore slump comes. But he's not looking to just repeat next year. He's trying to build on that and maybe even become a better defender, if you can believe it, with one extra year of comfort. I just think there's more growth opportunity for Merrill because he was learning a new position last year. Like I said, the chase rate was pretty rough. I think if he corrects those mistakes, there's no reason why the train can't keep moving for him.
Well, I'm hopping aboard, if that's the case. Hey, Sam, we appreciate everything. Great insight, as always. I look forward to catching up with you again. I mean, the rookie situation is just so different in baseball now, right? Guys used to come up and you're like, hope the guy can, hit 270 and, play a little bit. Totally different now. These guys come to the big leagues. They're ready to, have a Jackson Merrill type season, a Corbin Carroll season. And I imagine it'll happen again around baseball this year. And look forward to talking to you about it. Sam, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Sam.
Hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks so much for reaching out.
Very good. Sam Dykstra, good insight, MILB.com. Yeah, that's the thing, Tony, that's gotten me.
I think that's the place that Jackson can improve the most, quite frankly, is on the defensive side.
Yes, you're a former outfielder, and you said he got to a lot of balls, but he didn't always take the best route to a lot of balls.
It honestly got better the last month of the season. He started taking cleaner routes. I just think there's so much more there for him, defensively. I think he did a great job of being available, meaning healthy. He took care of himself. He wasn't running himself into the ground trying to be everything. But I do think, for Jackson, that he could be a Gold Glove winner. I think that's how good he can be defensively. But that takes some time and it takes some work to get to that point. So I see offensively, I don't I don't know how much better he can be offensively. He was unbelievable. I can't say that enough. Go back and just look at his numbers for the year.
All year,
trying to go
consistent.
out. Yeah, all year. Trying to go out and like top that can be a recipe for, that sophomore slump. So I really like what Sam had said. Those are the small things you can pay attention to if you're Jackson, right? He chased a lot. It worked, and he still was amazing. Okay, so let's just a couple % better on that side of things. That's how your year can offensively can go up.
How about the Padres potentially getting 2 Gold Glove outfielders who are both shortstops?
I know.
Baseball has changed dramatically.
They say the shortstop's one of the best athletes on the field. You could just move them anywhere.
Yep. Padres are living proof of that. All right, a lot more to go. We'll talk more about the soccer controversy in hour number 2 with Ryan Finley from the SDU Union Tribune. Daily Gambit. Oh, man, our Academy Award picks did not come through. All coming up next on Gwynn and Chris.
Forgot all about it.
There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec Baseball Tournament. It's the SDSU Baseball Alumni Tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
We are League 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off the birdie, and I just hit my defense. There's a squirrel. He wants to attack me. Squirrely! We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after.
It was a 5-footer.
After our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Gravy, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for, since it was a scramble and we had an SDSU golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him, but we all had a good time. There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec Baseball Tournament. It's the SDSU Baseball Alumni Tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
are best friend. Week 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off the birdie, and I just hit my defense. There's a squirrel. He wants to attack me. Squirrely! Ah. We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after
It was a 5-footer.
after our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Gravy, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Shooting the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for, since it was a scramble and we had an SDFC golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him, but we all had a good time. There's Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec'd out here at the Aztec Baseball Tournament. It's the SDSU Baseball Alumni Tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So,
Welcome back in. Gwynn and Chris. Hour number 2. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matthew Scraby. Talking a little Padres Spring Training, talking a little SDFC, talking a little Tirso and Nellis, and a little bit of everything so far in the first hour. Got our daily Gambit coming up. Some bets that sound like they didn't go all that well, especially on the Academy Award side of things.
Yes, you guys chose to agree with me.
We did.
That's that cost you money. That
worst
cost
thing I've
you-
ever done.
Yeah, don't ever do that. Don't ever agree with anybody. Make bets based on your own
Well, you were like,
knowledge or lack thereof.
you were like, well, everybody, I am the movie expert here.
I
on
believe
Gwynn and
you
Chris,
said that. I believe you
please.
said that over and over again.
Excuse me, I have to shove my nose higher in the air as I talk to you.
Whatever happened to that moment you said about 20 minutes ago that you weren't going to say anything the rest of the day?
I forgot.
That didn't
I
last very
truly
long.
forgot.
He literally
truly forgot.
You went right past that one. Yes, we did not hit our Academy Award picks last night, or my picks that you guys chose to agree with. But
real quick, before
nevertheless,
we get into the daily Gambit, I think it's only right that I talk about my Los Angeles Lakers that
red hot.
pooping right now.
What are they?
Second
A game and a
in the
half out of the
Western-
number 2 spot, I believe.
No, they are in the 2 spot
What?
as we speak.
Huh?
Yes, indeed.
They've gone faster than I even thought.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching Luka kind of orchestrate. LeBron literally might play another 5 years.
You know,
Because
right.
the dude literally can it just like chills now until they need some buckets from him, and then he go gets them. He gets like the easiest buckets I think he's ever gotten in his entire career. Have you looked at this man's numbers at 40? They are better than they were literally 15 years ago. His best season. I think this is his best season statistically right now at the age of 40.
Is Luka getting all the credit for the resurgence, or is this just good timing for Luka?
I think we were already talking about how well LeBron was playing before Luka got there. He has made it, and this is hard to imagine, he has seemingly made it even easier for him to get to not only play offense. I'm watching LeBron guard Kawhi on the other end the other night, like on multiple possessions. So that tells me a couple things, that he has enough energy to now go down and guard somebody like that. And I think that's a lot because of Luka. So very happy watching the Lakers
They
play.
lost to the Jazz, and they lost to the Hornets right at the very beginning of the Luka tenure. And everybody said, told you so. They're not going to be able to play together. Although we said, and I know you did, Tony, that you have to give them at least a couple of games. Number one. Number two, these are two of the insanely best players ever to play the game. They're going to figure it out. And now the Nuggets, Mavericks, Timberwolves, and Clippers twice.
That's okay.
Cleaned up, as Tony made the sounder.
We don't even need to describe the sounder.
I didn't realize they were number 2 overall. I knew they'd moved up. I didn't know that far. But, yeah, they've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
They still don't have the interior defense, but maybe they don't need it if they're just going to run up and down the floor like this.
I mean, that's going to be a challenge. No matter who they play, whether it's OKC, everybody has a pretty decent big man.
Yeah.
That they got to deal with. So we'll see. That's enough Laker talk. Let's get to the Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. All right, let's get into what we did last week. But I have a question for you guys that we're going to answer at some point during the show. On ESPN right now, it says Sam Darnold awaiting Vikings franchise tag decision. Yes or no? Right now, would you guys give Sam Darnold the franchise tag, which means that he's probably going to be making $40 million for one season? Chris?
I was waiting for Tony to answer. No.
No.
I got
Tony?
J.J. McCarthy. I'll sign some other quarterback if I can't get Darnold back.
Okay. Tony?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
$40 million.
Would you? Would you give? Gosh, now you throw me all off. What's his name? Sam Darnold. He's awaiting Vikings franchise tag decision. Would you franchise tag him if you are the Vikings?
Do you got any information on what kind of money?
I'm looking that up right now, but it's at least in the 40 million range.
Oh wow!
Quarterback is 40.24 for one season of Sam Darnold. You're letting him go, aren't you?
I mean, that's probably what he's asking for in the open market, though.
Which, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I feel like I've heard the number 40 attached to his name in terms of what they expect to give him.
That's insane to me.
What did he make last year? 1 million?
10 million.
Oh, 10.
He was
well,
dirt.
Seems
He was
like
dirt.
one,
He was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Listen. I very well may do this one more time, depending on how it makes my cap. Like if it's
they got a lot
if
of
I
money.
can do this, I think I would, and here's why. This gives J.J. McCarthy a real year to be a backup and learn. I thought J.J. McCarthy was good, but I didn't think he was the type of quarterback that could come in and like make an instant impact. I didn't see him that way. So why not you got at least a quarterback that can run your system for a year. Give it another go. And if it doesn't work out, you can let him walk out the door, and you got McCarthy for cheap. Now, I get why you would want to have McCarthy now. He is cheap now, right? So you want to get as many years out of him as possible. But if he sucks because he didn't, learn anything because he was hurt year one, what good does that do you?
It doesn't do you any good.
So I would entertain it. Yes,
man. Sam Darnold, 40 million pieces of cheese, Chris.
Before you sign Sam Darnold, show everybody a tape of those last 2 games he played. That's all.
Oh,
just
wait, I'm sorry. My offer went down to 11 million.
No, I'm just saying, make sure you still want to give the 40 million after you saw those 2 games.
Wasn't just his fault, Chris. It's a team effort.
I'm just saying, look at that before you give him the money.
It's just a 1-year investment, and you can move on after.
40 million. I know I kind of killed the segment here. That was my fault, but it was a good question, I think. UCLA at Purdue, we made the bet on Friday, -5.5. All of us said UCLA because they were delusionally on the road. They lost by 10, 76-66.
They were delusionally on. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, they're starting to slip back into delusional. They got a little bit of run there for a couple weeks, but
it's just one loss.
They've been losing a couple now, I think. Anyway, Auburn minus 4.5 at Kentucky.
Bottom line
Tony
is
and I chose Auburn. Auburn 94-78. What?
Bottom line is you really don't know how UCLA's been doing, other than that loss.
I know they lost to Maryland
Friday night. Go ahead. On you go.
UCLA women minus 4.5. I believe they were home to USC. Chris and Tony chose USC. I chose UCLA. UCLA gets they lose. USC wins 80-67. So I didn't win that bet either. This is gonna be a bad bet day for me, everybody.
Juju Watkins was killing. Cheryl Miller was loving it too.
Boston minus 1 against Cleveland Friday night. Tony and I took Cleveland. Cleveland won 123-116, so we win that one.
I couldn't believe that. That was
a day so far.
That was a game that Boston led 25-3.
Oh, that's right. And you know what they were saying? I think they were up. What was the score you said?
25-3.
They were up 25-3. They call in timeout, and Jaylen Brown and both Jason Tatum are yelling to the fans, "Get the out of here!" Talking about Cleveland.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Okay. And then they got their face taxed the rest of the game.
Can't do that.
Well, the Jasons just haven't learned. This is why Jason Tatum can't be the face of the league, man. You got to – I don't like this guy. I've told you that before.
I think that's a reason why you do make him the face of the league.
Why, because I don't like him?
No, because he's not afraid to be the heel. He could be the mean guy. He could be the bad guy.
I don't think that's true. I don't think he knew that the cameras were on him when he was saying that. He thought he was just out there in his own. I don't think he is. See, that's the thing. I think the faces of the league have that trait that they don't mind being a villain.
Yeah, villain.
Or right. Matter of fact, most of them start off as a villain before they turn into everybody likes him. Kobe was certainly a villain. LeBron has been a villain before people started to like him. I can't quite remember if Michael was like that. I think everybody kind of liked Michael from the very beginning.
Except for Bill Laimbeer.
and Horace Grant.
And the Pistons. Yeah, they didn't like him too much.
All right. Movies. We all chose The Conclave to win. It didn't happen. Anora won. Timothy Chalamet or Adrian Brody. We chose Chalamet. Brody won for The Brutalist.
Yeah.
And then for Best Actress, we said Demi Moore in The Substance, but it was actually Mikey Madison in Anora.
Yep, we missed them all.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
We literally got it.
Chris, do you think that, now that we're already off track, do you think that the end of The Substance, not that we're giving anything away. We don't have to
continue to go off track, though.
Do you think the end of The Substance lost its award?
Lost its mind?
No. It was the reason they didn't win the award or any award.
You mean Best Picture?
Yeah.
No, I don't think The Substance.
Demi Moore.
I don't think it was going to be a Best Picture, but the end of that movie is so stupid. The last 45 minutes is just idiotic. And for the first hour and 45 minutes, it's gripping and has your attention. It's a great story and a great science fiction piece of work. But then it just fell apart completely. It was absolutely idiotic.
We can't even describe how strange the end of this movie is. It's like something you really do have to see.
But I wouldn't. But it's so bad that I wouldn't recommend anyone.
I recommend it.
I don't waste your time. Don't waste your time on the end of that movie.
Waste your time. Tell me what you think.
Honora is the Best Picture. Probably not deserving all that well, but good enough. You'll enjoy it. It's got some fun stuff in it. So I didn't hate that.
Do we want to break and then come back and do bets?
We do.
Okay.
We'll do our picks when we come back, and Tony will get us to traffic because he's the guy.
To traffic we go.
855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting.
3:17 the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. in Peoria, where the Padres have the day off. The 3-7 Padres. Somebody asked the other day, how are they doing? I said, I don't really know. I mean, the record doesn't matter. But some people like to know. They're 3-7. Scraby's over there here in the Odyssey Palace Studios. He thinks today he is a comedian.
My bad.
Did you guys? Yeah, thanks, Gravy. I want to be on the show with you guys. I don't want to.
You know what? I have something important to say. I'm just going to take Tony. Just kidding. Tony's giving me the look.
Hey, did you guys see what Chad Ochocinco said today?
Chad Ochocinco. I did.
Yeah, it's not a guy. It's not a guy I usually quote, but he did have something pretty funny. Say they were comparing. You know, Travis Hunter was asked about what he does, and he kind of had the comparison to Ohtani in terms of how difficult it is to do, you know, both sides, same type of deal. And Chad Ochocinco said, let me make sure I get this right, because he said the two most difficult things to do in life are hitting a baseball and keeping a woman happy long term. And it is making its rounds around X right now. So I just thought I'd bring it.
That is pretty funny. Chad Ochocinco does a show now, right?
He's on there with Shannon Sharp, but today he was on First Take.
Oh, okay.
With Stephen A.
All right, getting a little bit bigger exposure for him.
Guess so.
That is funny.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
He would know.
Does Chad Ochocinco, was he referring at all to the fact that Travis Hunter wants to play both ways? Was that part of this, where this came from?
Yeah, Travis Hunter was asked about doing both ways
right
in the NFL, and somehow that conversation ended up with him saying something along the lines of, I would compare it to Ohtani. I don't know how they got there, but that was the sentiment of the statement, and it sparked a conversation about it.
Chad Ochocinco, a man who knows of where he comes and speaks from. I don't know.
What does that mean?
It means let's get to our picks.
All right.
The comedy stylings of this show have gone into the
to Chris Ello. Off to Chris Ello, though, to a man who know of what he speaks.
Yeah. Porcelain fixture. Some of these jokes belong in. All right, we got some picks for tonight here. Let's start with UCLA. They're on the road at Northwestern tonight. Just to update what Scraby was saying, is when Mick Cronin got done calling his team delusional and all of those things, they finished up a 4-game losing streak. After that, they won 7 in a row. But since then, they've gone 2-3. So you judge where they are. At Northwestern tonight, UCLA is favored by 3.5. The game in Evanston, Illinois. I still can't get over UCLA playing a conference game against Northwestern.
It is wild.
I really wild. Don't like it. Scrape,
I'm up.
Yeah, who do you like here? Well, you're the UCLA expert.
Oh yes, that's right.
So you start us off.
I do know that. You know what? The delusional ones. Figure it out.
UCLA tonight. Lost at Purdue. They've been sitting on the road for 3 days. That's it's time to get full of yourself. I'll take Northwestern.
Time to get full of yourself.
Tony, who do you like? It's a tough one. I'm sure UCLA is better than Northwestern, but
I am too. But I've picked them enough. It's time to go back to picking against them.
NW. Third ranked.
And Dave has been popping off too. So yeah.
Calm him down.
Oh, Dave.
Third ranked Houston.
Houston.
I still can't get over the fact that every time I look at the bubble projections, the Aztecs keep winning and they're still on the bubble. And people are like, they can't lose another game and this, that, and the other. I'm like, what other team in the country has a victory over third ranked Houston? Like, why is that not counting more than it should? It should be counting more.
They barely beat bad teams.
But they beat them.
I don't know.
They win.
I don't know that it is as the bubble people keep saying it is. You know what I'm saying? Because when we had Palm on
Palm,
it was the other couple weeks ago, he basically said outside of the Utah State game, they needed to win the rest of those regular season games to kind of secure there's that spot. What are they? Right. One more game left in conference?
They got UNLV.
2 games left.
Then they got Nevada.
They got to win those two.
But the most negative thing about San Diego State's basketball team that can be said is that they only beat bad teams by a little bit, which means that they win the game. I don't see how that keeps going against them on people's minds. But I regress. Houston by 9.5 over Kansas tonight. You talk about regress. Kansas is 5-6 in its last 11 games. This is Kansas. They've lost 10 games this season. They're barely over 500 in conference. Yet I guarantee they'll be a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament anyway. For that, I'm taking Houston to blow them out because I'm just tired of Kansas being Kansas on name only. Tony, 9.5 is a lot, though, but it is at Houston.
Oh.
Tony?
I'm taking Houston.
Houston. It's great.
Let's see.
You going to take the Jayhawks?
Usually I wouldn't, but I'm going to go Jayhawks.
Just to be
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
All right. By the way, Kansas, a couple of weeks ago, Tony, just for fun, they went to Utah and BYU. They got beat by 7 at Utah. Utah's terrible. They got beat by 34 at BYU.
Yeah, they just fired their coach, didn't they?
Utah did, yeah. But Utah beat Kansas, so did BYU. I bring it up because Kansas, upon going there, had a couple of players say, and I quote, we're not worried about the altitude. It's just a frame of mind. Kansas had not played at altitude like we have to play all the time, and they got boat raced in both games. Welcome to altitude, Kansas. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. On to the NBA.
Altitude. I guess altitude's a real thing after all.
Bill Self needed to tell them the pressurization.
Right.
Story.
If he said that the arena was pressurized, it might have worked. Yeah. But he didn't tell them.
He didn't use it.
He didn't use it.
He should have used it.
He had it at his disposal. We got Oklahoma City, the only team ahead of the Lakers now in the West. They're 11 points at home over the Houston Rockets.
I'm taking Houston.
Seems like Tony's going out of turn. He's so excited to take Houston. So I'll put that.
I thought it was his turn.
Maybe
I thought it was too.
Yeah, maybe it was. All right, Scraby, you're up.
I'm going to go with Houston.
Also Houston. Houston's had a really nice year, but are they not sliding back just a tad of late?
They are, but they'll get up for this game.
I think they'll be up for this game. Houston has fallen to 5th in the West, 5-5 in their last 10. OKC keeps on bludgeoning people.
Bludgeoning is an interesting adjective to
use. That's exactly what's happening.
I'll take OKC.
Fine.
Read.
I actually think I have something like that.
What movie was that from?
Psycho.
That's from Psycho. Yeah.
Very good, Tony. What do you got, Scrabe? I'm giving you a
there
moment.
it is. There it is.
That was what he wanted. Man, that's enough to put a little chill.
That is
in
a
you.
little freaky right there. Yeah, for real.
I love it.
Golden State's at Charlotte tonight. Steph Curry or LaMelo Ball? Who scores more points? I guess the big news this weekend was that Steph Curry had a dunk. And that made big news.
Steph
that he
Curry
dunked the basketball.
That's funny. Somebody IG to a post out said, I think it was ESPN that said Steph Curry goes above the rim, and then he responded on the IG post saying, I think it was like Steph Curry gets to the rim, and so he barely got up there.
Can we talk? Isn't that quite shocking that Steph Curry is a world-class athlete, 6'3", and he can barely dunk?
I don't know. Is it
First
any more?
of all, Steph Curry is old, dog.
Yeah. Is it any more shocking than the fact that one of the greatest athletes in the history of sports, Michael Jordan, doesn't swim?
No.
Why not?
Because that's not playing basketball.
All right.
Why not, Scraby?
Why not, Scraby?
Because he can't swim?
Michael Jordan.
I know that there are people who legitimately can't swim. I just don't know how you, if you jump into a pool, don't you start waving your arms instinctually?
Yes. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work.
I'm not, to all the people who don't know how to swim, I'm not making fun of you, okay?
You just did.
Yeah, it sounds like you are.
You just did.
Real quick.
Yeah.
He's old. Steph Curry is older, man. Like him jumping. First of all, he probably was never the biggest jumper in the first place, but at that age, you see how much that dude runs and more. I know his knees hurt. In a way, he's jumping. I'm surprised he was able to do that.
I'm not I'm just shocked. when I saw that was his first dunk since like 2017 or something.
He's not a dunker.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of interesting though that the best move that he has is a jump shot, and he can't jump.
Once again, the comedy stylings. All right, are you going with Steph or LaMelo here? Who's going to score more points?
Sorry. I'm going to go Steph. He's been playing really well.
Not yet. I'll take LaMelo.
Chef Curry, give it to me.
Steph for you. Kings 1.5 goal favorite at Blackhawks tonight.
Oh, God.
The great NHL rivalry. I'll take Blackhawks. At home, they're actually reasonable. Tony, you're a big
I'm definitely
hockey
taking
guy.
the Blackhawks.
Blackhawks,
I'm definitely taking the Blackhawks, yeah.
Okay.
Kings. Every time I pick them, every time I lose. So,
all right.
Blackhawks.
Scrape.
How's that Justin Bieber look like doing? Connor Bedard. Yeah,
he's playing like Justin Bieber.
Oh, man. He was.
Oh, man.
That stinks. I was really looking forward to having him be great.
He hasn't been great. He's been okay.
I'll go Blackhawks.
All Blackhawks.
Like Justin Bieber.
All Blackhawks. One more NHL game because the defending Cup champion Florida Panthers are home to Tampa Bay tonight. It's the Battle of Florida. Florida's favored by 1.5. Tampa Bay comes in, though, having won 8 straight, taking on the Stanley Cup champs. This is a tough one. I say Florida makes a statement, stops Tampa Bay's win streak. Tony.
Yeah, I'm playing Florida. They doing it.
What was the bet again?
Florida by 1.5 over Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go with the Lightning.
Tuberculosis.
I'm sorry?
TB.
Oh, TB.
We're rallying. We're digging some comedy out of the porcelain fixture and taking a break on Gwynn and Chris.
All my jokes have been great, Chris. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ben and Woods on the
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Sports editor Ryan Finley will join us from the Union Tribune. He was in attendance at the SDFC game that looked like it was quite spectacular, at least on television. Some of it has been sullied a little bit by what happened at the end of the game. We'll get into that a little bit more. Padres with the day off today, first one of spring. I believe we have a split squad tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I guess to say the beautiful thing about Don and Mud not being here is that we don't have to go on the road to do this split squad.
Man.
Because typically if a TV is here, they kick us to the curb and we go wherever the visiting side
That's
goes.
messed up. You and
So,
Jesse are doing all the games to begin with. You should get your choice.
It's not how it works. They show up, they kind of get but they don't really pick it,
Wouldn't
honestly.
Scraby, if he was one of the broadcasters, basically be fired by now for complaining about every little thing?
I just try to make things right. Just trying to make things right.
You and Eric
Chris.
Meyer would get along just swimmingly, it sounds
We already
like.
do.
Scrape.
We already do.
Sounds like you guys would just be.
I don't even
best
know if he
pals.
knows who I am, but we already do.
I already, I'm gonna leave that alone. Never mind. I keep my comments to myself.
Yeah.
I did some Rancho Penasquitos Little League, not announcing, but emceeing on Friday night.
Yes, you're the master of
for
ceremony.
their opening day. I take it.
That was really fun.
Did you lead in with a funny little anecdote at the beginning, like I told you
How
to?
did your comedy go over with the folks of Rancho Penasquitos?
My comedy didn't show itself until I started getting a little comfortable, because at first I wasn't really sure. I had 2 minutes to say something. I was like, oh, I love baseball and I love when I was a kid now. But as they were being introduced, I made fun comments on each one of the team's names. So like the T-ball teams have some good names. And I was like, all right, next up, number 13, we got the Mini Machados. And everybody loved it. And I was like, little kids, wave to your fans. People were out there. It was amazing. It was really fun. It was really
good
fun.
for you, Scrape.
Thanks.
Being one with the community, getting out there.
Sounds schmaltzy to me.
What the heck does schmaltzy mean?
Look it up. Look it up. It's high time you learn some of this stuff.
Hold up. I think that is a quality of Chris that I think is very underrated. We learn new words pretty consistently on this show. At least I know I learned new words from Chris.
Right.
I'd never heard cattywampus before he brought it to my vocabulary. I use it almost all the time. So I appreciate the new words.
I gotta say, schmaltz is excessive sentimentality, especially in music or movies. It's like a romantic comedy that's just a little too much. It's schmaltz.
Right. Yes. Over the top.
Over the top.
Sounds like someone's jealous. I got to thank actually a few people. Thank you to Aaron Hurwitz, who runs RPLL, who invited me to do this.
Aaron Hurwitz.
I took over for Paul, so I had big shoes to fill, but I did it. Also, Kristen, who is part of RPLL, gave me, I'm not kidding, one of the best scripts I could ever ask for. It's a 15-page script for 2 hours. So thank you, Kristen, for that.
Really?
Yes.
She wrote it all out for you.
Look, it's all over the place.
Why don't you give her a few bucks? Maybe she can start making your show sound a little better.
Yowza!
How would you know? You don't listen to my show.
I just learned about the listeners. That's all. Sticking up for them.
I don't quite know where to go with that.
He got you, Scrape. He got you pretty good on that one.
That was close to a mic drop right there.
I think I'm going to call out every one of Chris's mistakes on air going forward.
No, he's out for blood now.
Which is now every segment, because he has to read every segment that he skips every segment. So we're going to do that.
He's searching.
He's out for blood.
He's searching.
You know what, Chris? I have to say, oh man, I didn't do it fast enough. Oh,
get off our show!
Yeah.
Too late. You missed your
all right, traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Crystal Geyser, Alpine Springs. Starting off with double trouble on SEP on 125. There is a collision past the King Freeway. They're trying to move that out of the slow lane. Another crash, the slow lane up ahead, right before Hamashaw. Stalled car in the Coronado Bridge heading off the island about mid-span. Got the left lane blocked. And we can already check ladder in lanes off of our afternoon commute bingo card. West 8 before Lake Murray. There's a ladder reported in the fast lane. Now we're getting reports of a collision on southbound 805 right before Nobel. Several vehicles blocking the fast lane. What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water different? They always bottle their Alpine Spring Water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source. And all their bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from their own recycling plants. Crystal Geyser, bottled at the spring source. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Indeed, we currently are getting ready for our next guest. Scraby is getting it all queued up for Ryan Finley, San Diego Union Tribune sports editor.
Making his debut on our show. We're very excited about this.
Ryan, thank you for your time. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good, Ryan.
We're doing well. Obviously, it was a big night for SDFC. First home game here in San Diego, and by all accounts, at least until the end, at least from television, I'm here in Arizona, so I was watching it on the Apple provider, and it seemed like the atmosphere was electric. You were there in person. Tell us what you were seeing that night.
It was great. First, a quick disclaimer. I was pinch hitting for Mark Ziegler, who knows much more about soccer than I ever will. He was in Laramie that night, and so I'm sure he would have probably had more nuance associated with it than I did, but I thought it was amazing. I'm a native San Diegan, grew up here. To think that they would have an atmosphere like that for soccer, 15, 20 years ago would have been unheard of. And to see the stadium packed for a record crowd, it was just electric. I mean, there was that sort of, crackle in the air that you get at big sporting events. And this certainly had that. It was, like you said, up until the very, very end, really a special night. It's just kind of a shame that what happened at the very end, I think really took away from what should have been a celebration for San Diego.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get to what happened at the end. Just give us a little feel. Did people get there, like Scraby said, they were there like half hour before the game in their seats ready to go, which is even unheard of for like a baseball game. Unless maybe like a World Series, I know people would get there so early to be in their seats, but he said it was like jam-packed already, like couldn't even wait for the teams to come out on the field.
Yeah, it was crazy. I walked in, so the game started at 7:30. I got there incredibly early, like 5. And by 5:30 or so, people started, I think that the gates opened at 5:30. There were fans drumming and chanting by, 6 or 6:15 in the stands. Awesome. It was amazing. And, the supporters section, it's the supporters union. So it's 8 different groups. I think it's 8 different groups. They all sit sort of where the Aztec student section sits for football games. And that was hopping. I mean, in terms of, that was the place to be on opening night. It was drums and flags and songs and chants in English and in Spanish. It was really cool. And, the press box at Snapdragon Stadium is sort of just above and to the right of where that supporter section is. You couldn't help but watch them for much of the night. I mean, it was.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Well, we'll get him back.
Yes, we will.
We have that technology, I believe.
Yes, we can call people back, Chris.
I know.
That does happen.
I know. We just have to kind of.
Can you operate that technology? Is that like?
I'm not real sure, to be honest. I'm trying, guys.
We'll wait and see if you can operate it.
Yes, I can operate it. I just need to call him back.
I want to know why you're doing that. What did you do the other night in the press box? What was your official duty? Did you actually work in terms of getting a press pass, or did you just freeload?
Chris, I got to call this guy. So
has to be freeloaded.
I have a feeling Scraby was there in time for the pregame meal. I bet you that.
That's not nice. And no, I wasn't. Okay. I think we may have. Well, I don't know what happened.
Oh no, we may have lost them for good.
We're trying. We'll keep. Oh wait, it's ringing now. Hold on.
Right.
You guys keep talking amongst yourselves.
Well, we are, and Ryan Finley was there, and he's describing what we all saw, which was just an incredible night, celebrating the drums, the pageantry. This is what I was expecting. And see, I think that people weren't there now. They're going to want to go to the next one because they're going to want to see what that was like, right?
I kind of want to go to the one before the year's out. At this point, I think one of the things that that Ryan mentioned was that 15 years ago, you couldn't imagine an atmosphere that, at least looked like what we were seeing. And Ryan Finley joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune's sports editor. And Ryan, you're finishing up just kind of describing how the atmosphere was. And, one of the things you said was mentioning that, 15, 20 years ago, it would have been impossible to ever imagine an atmosphere like that. Obviously, the game, for the most part, had gone successfully well until the end there. A homophobic slur was being yelled from the stands down to the opposing goalkeeper. Just talk a little bit about how that scene kind of unfolded.
I sort of thought I heard it the first time, and it happens. It's almost like a kickoff in football, where there's sort of a build up, and then just as the goalkeeper, kicks the goal kick, fans in the stands chanted a one-word slur in Spanish, and it happened once, and they put something on the video board saying, "Hey, this is unacceptable. We ask, respectfully that you stop." And then it happened again, and they posted it again and read the same announcement in English and in Spanish. And the third time, and it was right before the end, really a minute or two before the end of the match, public address announcer essentially said, if this continues, they'll just suspend the match and send both teams off. And, this is something that has been a little bit, has some history with Mexican national team matches, with some matches in Mexico. It's something that, certainly San Diego FC was prepared for the possibility of happening because they had, that sort of slide for their video board ready to go. Something that's been chanted at Qualcomm Stadium in the past when the Mexican national team has played there.
Wow.
We've written about it in the Union Tribune in the past. This is something that is a thing, unfortunately. And, I thought Mikey Varas, San Diego FC's coach, really hit the nail on the head after the match. Imagine it's your first ever home match as the head coach. You're a first-time Major League Soccer head coach. And he comes out and essentially says, before we talk about anything that happened tonight, I want to address this one issue. And he addressed it first in Spanish and then in English, and essentially said, hey, this is a club that's about love and inclusion and supporting each other. And to have something like that happen is unacceptable. And he said something that I thought in both languages really hit home, which is, if you're going to come to our stadium and do that chant, respectfully, stay home.
Yeah. And,
that's what, what really struck me was, this is a club that's been around for a month and a half. They started practicing out at Singing Hills 7 weeks ago. For them to be so aware of who they are as a club and what they represent, I know that starts with the president and the GM and the head coach, to come out and say that afterwards. I thought that was really striking. And, who's to say if that's going to stop anything, if that's going to curb anything. They don't play at home again until a week from Saturday. So I guess we'll find out then.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was an early moment for their franchise, and with what their head coach said, I thought that he came off as a very impressive leader that night. It would have been really easy to diminish it and say, no, I want to talk about what went right tonight. And he didn't. He addressed the issue right away and in 2 languages, and was much more eloquent than I could have been with, a week to write a statement. He was really, really out in front of it. And I thought that was very impressive.
Yeah, we were impressed as well. We played it earlier. Ryan Finley is our guest here. He covered the match. a historic night for sure, tainted by what happened at the end. And I don't believe this says anything about the fans of San Diego, although it may get, lumped into that category, Ryan. How do we categorize it? I mean, 34,000 people turned out and turned in a historic evening. So, in a lot of ways, San Diego, we don't want to be associated with this. I don't know how we stop it though. It's going to be tricky. Unfortunately, it looks like.
Well, yeah. And, it's everything, right? I mean, there's, certainly the fact that it's a homophobic slur gives it more of an edge than some things that we see in sports, right? This isn't fans throwing stuff on the field or throwing batteries at you if you're in Philadelphia or calling you names in the stands. I mean, this is something obviously I think worse. But, that's the question going forward is what will happen to the fans? What will the team do if this happens again? Other places, what they do is they'll pull the teams off the field or they'll play in front of no fans. Certainly that's not something San Diego wants to do. I think that they want to address this like adults, tell the fans like, hey, this is not acceptable, go do this somewhere else, and hope that, the group of people who might want to do that number shrinks here starting in the next home game.
Ryan, do you obviously, as you mentioned, the club was prepared for all of this. I think Mike Ibarra was prepared for at least, to come in and immediately address it. I mean, what do you think? Was this something that you think the club was expecting? I mean, it would seem that they had some inkling that it could go down like this.
I think it's something that has happened enough in matches played in San Diego over the years that they were prepared. I don't know if it might have made more sense to be proactive about it. I mean, that's where, you run into kind of this issue, right? You don't want to necessarily tell a stadium full of 35,000 people not to say this one word ahead of time, right? But I thought they did a good job. Chucky Lozano, their most prominent player, their highest paid player, is from Mexico. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised going forward to see him doing something on the video board about respect or about, not doing things like that. We've seen other sports and other places, coaches grab a microphone in the middle of a game and say, hey, knock that off, right? Sam Wyche, when I was a kid, did that with the Bengals, right? Grabbed a microphone in the middle of an NFL game. When I was in college at Arizona, Lute Olson, who was their old basketball coach, did that one night. Somebody I think it was a laser pointer, grabbed the microphone in the middle of the game and said, hey, get that guy out of here and knock this off, right? I don't know if we're going to see something as dramatic as that, but I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego FC did something maybe a little bit more proactive the next time they're at home. They issued a statement about an hour ago, really just reflecting what Mike Ibarra said, almost word for word, which is this has no place here. This is not what the club is about. And I think it's important, on their first home game, we're still learning about them too. And I guess if there's any good that comes out of this, I think it's that now we know what they stand for.
Yeah, exactly.
Well said, Ryan. Exactly. And, first of all, I know Sam Wyche's thing was classic, by the way. He grabbed the mic and he said, stop it. We don't live in Cleveland. We're in Cincinnati. Yep. he made fun of Cleveland in his speech. But, well done, Ryan. And I think overall, I'm just so excited by what I saw. I mean, I'm not going to let this taint me, and I hope it just doesn't go forward and we can, nib it in the bud right now. Say hello to your dad, Bill Finley, one of my all-time favorites back in the day. And we appreciate you coming on. Hope we can do it again.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Ryan.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Very good. Ryan Finley, sports editor of the UT. That was cool. He did a good job. Tony Gwynn Jr.
It was. I said it earlier, man, and Ryan kind of hit on it before he bounced. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about the organization, but in terms of being a good representative of the city and how they handled that, I mean, they've passed with flying colors, especially their head coach, Mike Ibarra. So kudos to them. Oh, is it me? I forgot. I'm getting this out of here. Let's go to break. 4:00 hour on the other side.
Yeah.
Chris versus the fans. Next.
Welcome into the 4 o'clock hour. Monday get-together. Gwynn and Chris, 97.3 The Fan. It's been a bit of a testy afternoon here amongst the hosts. Very quickly, before we go too much further into this segment, apology not necessary, but clarification necessary. When I said I'm sure you were in time to get the food to Scraby at the media meal for Saturday night soccer game, that was in reference to you being a freeloader, not to you needing to eat so badly.
Well, as a kid that was bullied for his weight growing up, Chris, it didn't take it that way, okay?
Sorry you did. That's why I'm clarifying. Not apologizing. Yeah. It's a solid line.
Talking about your freeloading waves, man.
That's right.
Just
talking about.
And I have no problem being called a freeloader because I am a freeloader.
Darn right you are. And all of us are. Hey, look, there is nobody in the media who can claim otherwise. I've not ever seen a media person.
You're telling me a media person's never been a freeloader?
No, I said never not been a freeloader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, every media person has to claim being a freeloader.
Yes,
there is absolutely anybody who says otherwise is just flat out lying.
We all kind of get a chance to do our own little bit of freeloading as media members.
We're quite complainers about it as well. I just had like some old sandwiches,
Yeah, I can remove me from that category. I try.
Well, you're a big league ball player. You're a big league meal guy.
No.
You don't.
What does that mean? I'm a big league.
Are you calling Tony fat now? A big league meal guy? Man. I'm sorry that we can't. I'm sorry we can't be so svelte like you, Chris.
You eat in big league ballparks on a nightly basis. I'd say you probably do okay. Guys like me eat in minor league arenas.
No, guys like us, Chris, get the free hot dogs in the press box after the third inning.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Petco Park, God love them.
You guys are in the same ballpark that I'm in.
We love I love that lady who whips up the hot dogs. In the
I don't know her name either, but she's very nice. We always chat.
She's the nicest lady. Petco Park. God love her.
And she does the hot dogs right. Like she cuts them so that they all cook really well.
She's fantastic.
Then you can go over and get some nachos.
Awesome. Why don't we get her on the show? As a matter of fact, never mind the rest of these Padre guys. Let's get somebody on who really matters.
Hot dog, that is for sure.
Somebody who really matters. All right, 403 is.
I'm only laughing because she is serious about those hot dogs.
Oh, that's no question.
She's not playing. Like I'm gonna make these hot dogs. They're gonna remember these hot dogs after they finish.
And we do.
And we're talking about them on the radio. We're not joking. We love those hot dogs. It's the reason I go to games sometimes is for the hot dog.
Yeah.
Can't lie.
Down on hot dogs.
All right.
What do you got? Go ahead, sir.
No, I just want to remind everybody we're going to give out a biggest fan prize at 5:30 today. Stick around for that. If your name is called, you'll have a chance to qualify for the grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends at a Odyssey Suite Padre game later this season. If you haven't registered yet, my goodness, what have you been waiting for? Go to 97.3 The Fan, SD.com/biggest fan. And since it's a new month, we have a new prize.
We sure do.
Today to give away in Chris versus the Fans.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the Fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Shall we read the prize? It's actually a pretty interesting prize.
It's one I'd take.
Me too. You will be qualified for 2 tickets to Alanis Morissette at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace on October 24th, 2-night hotel stay October 23rd through the 25th at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, and a $100 gas card. So that is what is on the line for this month. A pretty good prize. Growing up, my dad was a huge fan of Alanis Morissette. So was my mom. Lots of Alanis Morissette in my ears as a kid, which growing up and listening to those songs, they're not for kids at all.
There's a little bad language in some of them.
At all.
And the themes of the songs are not for kids.
Aren't kid friendly either. No,
but I couldn't tell that way back when. So, The rules.
I could see you just wailing away in the car.
You ought to know. I'm telling you, I love Atlantis. I can
I believe
jag a little pill.
I can
all that
100%.
stuff.
I can visualize it perfectly.
Okay. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you are a first-time player, let us know before you get into it, and you'll get that question for free today. So our first contestant for today is going to be, let's see, Alex in Cardiff. Alex.
Good.
Hello,
What's up,
sir.
Alex.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Drove through Cardiff yesterday.
Oh, yeah? How was it?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Sometimes my wife and I just like to take a ride up Pacific Highway. Oh. And we went through Cardiff. It's fantastic.
I was on Pacific Highway.
Recommend it to everybody.
I wish I would have egged Chris's car as he was driving by. That was sweet.
Probably would have missed.
Let's go first question, please.
He's probably right. I would have missed.
How many goals has SDFC scored so far in this young season?
I'm going to guess 3 because I don't know.
Doesn't know.
He's going to go 3. 3 is incorrect.
Yeah.
Hello for the steal.
Dos. I got 2. But we were also unscored upon
Alex.
through 2 matches. So we got that going for us, which is
Hey,
nice.
man, how you keep making the balloons go up?
I don't know how that's happening, to be honest. I don't know. I think it's the AI in your camera or something, because Tony keeps like
every time
waving his hands in the air, and then balloons like show. Now they don't show up, of course. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's very strange. All right.
I don't know if you can see the look on my face, but I'm completely perplexed. I have no idea what you're talking
on
about.
Tony's YouTube.
So like on the screen,
yeah,
there randomly have been balloons, and I feel like, is it whenever you hit the ding button? Is that when the
No, it has nothing to do with anything that I'm doing. It's so strange.
Yeah, there's balloons keep coming up, and I know that it's prompted by something that we're doing during the show. That's
You're just
going
gonna have balloons. I mean, it's just gonna be very festive. Where
I'm
you
locked in
I
on
just
the
want to figure
YouTube
out what
page
it
right
is.
now. I want to see what you're talking about.
I just want to figure out what it is so I can keep making the balloons show up. All right. Let's go to our next contestant.
Yes. Let's go to Juan and Vista. Hello, Juan.
Hi, Juan.
What's up, Juan?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Juan.
I'm ready to play. Also, I'm a first-time player.
First time
player.
Send off the balloons. No,
Didn't happen.
Didn't work.
Now it's not
All right.
going.
Second question.
You there, Tom?
What NBA player leads the NBA in points per game?
Right now?
Right now.
Right now? Okay.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis.
AD
on top.
There was a point where he was in the 30s, right?
Yeah. It could be somebody else. I think it's SGA, but it might have changed. I'll say SGA.
Whoops, I put it down. Sorry.
Oh, sorry
about that, Juan.
Juan, it is SGA.
Is correct.
He's been ahead most of the year, but I know who is Doncic, I think, was close to him. But anyway,
all right,
move on.
On to our next contestant.
Dan and Encinitas.
Dan and Encinitas, welcome to the show.
Dandy.
Oh, we got to get the radio off, Dan.
It's all right. I like hearing myself.
Hello? Okay. All right. We gotta go
Dan
somewhere else.
He was dialed in for real. Couldn't even hear us.
He's gonna hear it in a
when
second.
his radio tells him.
He's gonna be like, ah!
Kevin in Oceanside.
Kevin, what's going on?
Gentlemen, good
Welcome to the show.
afternoon.
Hello,
Good
Kevin.
afternoon, Kevin.
How's it going, guys?
We're
Pretty
good,
good.
Kevin. We're good. Yeah.
Here we go.
I have a quick take. You got
Sorry, locked into the game.
No, Scraby. What's your take? Kevin.
Hey, if the Padres want to save money, put giving away free fruit to everybody in the press box. Give it to only Padres personnel. Arson women will pack.
That is that's not a bad suggestion, to be honest. I think that's not a bad suggestion.
You know, I want to say this. Back in the old days, they actually did give away free dinner to everybody. They made dinner and everybody could have dinner. Now you have to actually pay for dinner.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't get it twisted. They have to get
you have to pay for.
They might get free drinks, but they
and the hot dogs are free.
I think the hot dogs are free later in the game.
Fourth inning.
The actual dinner, they do have a dinner up there every night because there's a lot of people that are there from like 2:00 on. They actually have to have some dinner, and
it looks delicious. Never had it.
I've never paid for it. No, you got to pay for it. So anyway, Kevin, that's a funny comment for sure.
Okay,
I like it.
Scrappy, I didn't mean Scrappy. You were supposed to see that. I didn't mean to do that.
Okay,
I forgot I was on camera.
Yep, you were.
Question number one.
Okay, one.
What team did the Aztecs men's team just beat on Saturday?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Wyo. Ming.
Oh, I actually for a second thought you said Ohio, but you're right. Sorry, Kevin.
Yes, Wyoming held on to the victory against the Cowboys. All right, next contestant, Scrappy.
They just all dropped.
Everybody went home?
Uh-oh. They said, man, this game's
No, now people are calling back, but I can't put them on hold. Oh, there it goes. All right, I don't know.
Scrappy basically just dropped everybody.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do it, okay?
He must have felt like you guys were too recognizable, so
no, I
got rid of all y'all.
We're going to Rich and Chula Vista. Hello, Rich.
Rich and Chula, how you, man?
What's up, fellas?
Hi, Rich.
We are well.
I've had better
First
days.
question.
You still can redeem yourself. You got an hour and 45 minutes left.
Yeah, you still got time, brother.
Yeah.
What causes a corner kick?
I like that. We're kind of teaching people the game of soccer. It's good.
We're a footy show now.
Let's see. A corner kick is when the defense kicks it out of the back of the goal.
I mean, I think, yeah.
That works. That works.
That was way better than I would have explained it. So good job.
Yeah, it has to. If the defending team is the last to touch the ball, and it goes out of bounds on the end line,
yes,
the offensive team gets a corner kick. I think he said it pretty well, though.
He did.
Give it to him
for sure.
Too.
For sure. I said ball OB behind goalie.
Yeah, but the important thing is who it's last touched by. Because of the offense,
I would have.
Offense does it's a goal kick.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Very good.
Question number 2. All right, there are 2 Padres tied for the team lead in hits in spring training. Name both.
Name them both. Wow.
This year?
This year.
Yeah, right now.
Oh, man.
Right now.
I'd say one of them is Merrill.
Merrill.
Says Merrill and
the other one, I would say Tatis.
We do say spring training doesn't matter, so
right. It's Ornelas and Gonzalez. The only reason I know is because we had all the stats up earlier when we were talking about the spring training guys. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Rich.
Rich, you ran into bad luck there because otherwise I would have never known that.
Yeah, those questions are tricky in spring training because it could be just hits leaders, especially this early, can be somebody you never heard of.
All right,
in this case, 2 guys.
We gotta go tiebreaker.
We got a tiebreaker, huh?
Yeah. What are we?
George Bell, Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, George Bell.
He could hack.
Royals and Blue Jays, or just Blue Jays?
I think Cubs and Blue Jays. Might have
and
White
the
Sox.
Blue Jays.
White Sox as well. He's the MVP
White
one
Sox
year.
at the end.
It was
MVP
Toronto, White Sox, and then the Cubs for 1 year.
Right.
But he ended with the White Sox.
What was the MVP?
Toronto, 87.
87 MVP. Very good.
Wow, this dude had 47 home runs. Oh, I
George
just gave
Bell
away
could hit.
something. I shouldn't.
Yeah, come on, man. You're giving the numbers up.
All right, let's get our contestant. We're going to go to Javier. Hello, Javier.
Oh, hello.
Have you ever heard the tiebreaker before?
Yes.
All right. So what I'm going to do is ask Chris for a number. He's going to give it to me. Javier is going to guess whether the actual number is higher or lower than what Chris said. So, Chris, how many? Let's see. How many total bases in his career?
Oh my God! Come on.
Okay, that's too hard.
Can't even add that
That's
up.
too hard. What? How many RBIs? How about that?
RBIs. How many years?
12.
12 years. Well, he had a couple hundred RBI seasons for sure, but he didn't average 100. So I'm gonna say 900 RBIs. That'd be 75 per year on average.
All right,
which is pretty good.
900 RBIs. Javier, is the actual answer higher or lower?
Wait, what was his guess again? My AirPod.
Oh, I'm sorry.
died.
Mine was 900 RBIs in 12 years.
For who?
George Bell.
For George Bell?
Yeah.
Less than.
Less, he says right away. He was on it. Oh no!
Sorry about that.
He thought he had
Javier.
it. What was it?
It was
He did seem
1002.
Really? George Bell was
He did
good.
seem hella confident when
He did.
said
He was
that.
like, "Oh, George Bell
Yeah, he
down
was
for
like, yeah,
sure."
no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nope, not the case.
Next contestant.
I haven't been able to screen this person, but it says the last name is Preston something. So let's go to you, Preston something. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh,
It's
hey.
Aaron.
What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron.
All right. Aaron's
Okay,
on.
there
Hi,
we
Aaron.
go.
Let's go.
Have you
Aaron.
ever played the tiebreaker before, Aaron?
Negative. First time caller, long time listener.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks, Aaron.
First time player.
We're gonna save that for your next time you
Hey.
call in because
Yeah.
we're on the
Oh, that's
tiebreaker.
right.
Yeah, you're on the
Sorry.
tiebreaker. So
False
say
alarm.
the next time you call in will actually officially be your first time.
Yes.
So you get a
Gotcha.
you get a freebie here.
Stay right there, Aaron. I'm going to ask Chris for a number. You're going to guess whether the actual number is higher or lower than what Chris says. Chris, how many walks in his career?
Oh boy, George Bell was a hack. He just swung like crazy.
Sure. Yes.
Hacker, 12 seasons. Nobody walked in those days, man. You didn't walk your way to the MVP back in 1987. So I'm going to say about 40 to 50 a year. That's all. 500 walks.
500 walks in his career. Aaron, is the actual answer higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower.
Nice job,
Hey,
Aaron.
all right, Aaron.
Stay there,
Good
Aaron. I'm going
job.
to get your information in the break. You have been qualified to Alanis Morissette's actual answer is 331.
Yeah. They swung the bat back then.
He didn't
mess
play in
around.
1982 for some reason.
1982, he's probably injured.
The whole year?
Maybe so.
All right.
All right, very good. Good round of Chris versus the fans today. More Gwynn and Chris after traffic,
Ooh,
I think.
Delete. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Got a number of things going on here. Stalled car on the transition ramp westbound 8 to the southbound 805 connector. It's got that left lane blocked. Also going to find on southbound 15 accident has cleared into 52, but southbound 15 right before the 805.
Quick segment here, 5:24 here in Phoenix, 4:24:25 now in San Diego. Debo Samuel. He gone. Off to the Commanders we go. Before I get into that baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Scraby, you've been begging for the 49ers to move Debo. You got your wish. He gone. The Commanders get better. I will say that. He doesn't have to be the everything there with that quarterback that they have. But you get your wish. Scrape, how you feeling about this, man?
I feel fantastic. I just didn't, it's going to be a weird thing about Debo in his 49ers days.
Careful when you turn your head, your nose just hit the microphone.
Oh, I'm lying. Is that what you're saying? I'm Pinocchio?
Yeah, I think you're lying. Yeah, you're lying.
No, Debo just hasn't been. He was great 1 year, and he was average most years. And I think last year he really jumped the shark by calling for the ball and then dropping the ball when they threw him the ball in a game where they needed to absolutely win or else they would be eliminated from the playoffs. The only thing I don't understand is a 5th-round pick. Like, were the 49ers that much in a hurry to get him out of there? Because I would have his contract's up after this year. Why don't you let him play out his contract and then have him go to free agency?
Because they've learned their lesson already. They tried to play that route with my last guy, and it started their season off on the wrong foot.
It totally did. Brandon Ayuk
ruined their season.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk.
Because they didn't listen to me and just get rid of the guy.
Listen,
you begged for him.
Either you're willing to pay or you're not. Trying to squeeze every bit of juice out of the orange is not going to always lead to good harmony, apparently. And so I think they're kind of, they know Debo can be disruptive. They've been down this path before they gave him his money the first time when they still felt like he had some good football ahead of him. They clearly don't feel like that anymore. So
I think he's a role guy now. He's a role guy. He's the short yardage guy.
You're talking yourself into this. He's going to go. He looked like this guy's going to go to Washington. He's going to catch 80 balls. He's going to run the ball. He's going to gain 1,500 to 2,000 yards. And all you're going to have to show is that stupid 5th-round pick that every NFL team accepts for star players. I can't believe this again.
I'll say this. I think it's a stupid move too. And here's the thing that nobody, I feel like, has said. The 49ers stopped using Debo the way that he was most productive.
Because he couldn't.
He
was getting injured. He was missing games. His ankle was bad. His knee was bad. His hamstring was bad.
He played 15 games last year. He played 15 the year before. How many was he missing? 1 a year?
But there were games where he was clearly limited by injury, where he only played a certain amount of plays.
I don't think they gave him chances.
They didn't give him the same type of chance. I mean, they were giving the ball in the backfield, for crying out loud, when he was in his prime. I mean, they were just giving him different. He's the type of guy that he doesn't have to run a route in order for you to get him the ball. Just find a way, and that's really what your head coach was so good at, was finding these unique ways to get him the ball where he can get out in the open space. And he was a problem because nobody wants to tackle that thick dude, right?
So, look at your coach right here. Targets in 2021 when he was the Associated Press All-Pro guy, 121. Last 2 years, 94, 89, 81. Now, you're going to blame him.
Okay, well,
but that's 40 times less per season that he's getting the ball. And that doesn't include the rushing attempts.
I was going to say, target, and number one, he has to get open to get a target. He wasn't open much. In 2021, he caught 77 passes for 1,405 yards, 6 touchdowns. He also rushed for 365 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's never even come close to any of those numbers.
Well, you don't need him to become close.
The following, it's half of that production, and that's what they're paying him for, is the production that he gave them.
Nah, you don't need him. That's fine. Listen, you want to move off him, you think he's washed, fine. He's going to play less. He's going to play lesser of a role with the Commanders, and he's going to be a big
God, I hope they play the Niners next year. That'll be a tasty game.
I don't know if they do, but I do think this is the dumbest part of everything. is that they traded him in conference. I hate when you trade players in conference because you're going to have to eventually face them if you want to get to a Super Bowl.
Listen. There's one thing. Division.
What's he going to do?
Conference-
You just said he stinks. He's not going to stand in your way of going to the Super Bowl.
But there's always that one game where you're like, Debo. I think Debo is going to be a better football player on the Commanders than he was for the last couple of years with the 49ers, for sure.
What you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to get out of that 5th round pick? A backup punter?
You better be.
I mean, this is why I hate this.
Question.
I mean, a 5th round pick. I mean, you're going to get a 3rd string linebacker unless you just had a magic selection. And that's not just on the 49ers. It's on every team in the NFL that trades away good players for a 5th round pick every time. I don't get it. Drives me nuts.
I tweeted on Schefter's thing. I said, once again, I have no idea of the value of a draft pick in the NFL.
Either.
And some guy goes, he tries to break it down for me. Well, Debo's coming into the last year.
I see.
I'm like, okay, I didn't ask for you to break it down for me.
We don't need to break down.
I love those guys there that hop on there. Let me explain it.
Yes, I know exactly what's going on here.
Well, actually,
I mean, I guarantee if I just real quick, if I did a rundown of 5th round picks from the draft 3 years ago, how many of those players do you think anybody's heard of now?
Every single one.
I think you should do this because I know you got it in you.
Yeah, I can find
you should find out
do it.
what these fifth rounders are doing.
What do they turn into? All right, we'll look at that.
See?
All right, see?
Yeah, see, all right, let's get the break. Big 5 on the other side.
Tony, nobody says that like you, by the way.
I can't take credit. Hawk Harrelson is the man on that. Let's get the break. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. It's Kraby's Big 5.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Talking to Joey Votto here on 97.3 The Fan. I had 3.
Crisello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Scraby, who loves the fact that Debo Samuel is out of San Francisco in exchange for a fifth-round pick. So before we get to your Big Five, Scrabe, and I don't want to carry over, but I'm going to give you some of the fifth-round selections that have been made the last few years.
Let's hear it.
Let's start with 2023.
Okay.
That's, 2 seasons ago?
Yes.
Fifth-round picks.
Yes.
I'll give you Chase Brown, running back, Bengals.
Okay.
Pretty good.
All right.
Puka Nacua, receiver, Rams. That's all I'll give you. I've never heard of any of the other ones. I'm just saying there might be a couple of more on there that I don't know who exactly they are, but 2 out of 30 is not exactly a great percentage. 2022, you got Khalil Shakir, the receiver, Buffalo.
Yeah.
You got Jerome Ford, running back for Cleveland, and you got Kyron Williams, your running back for the Rams.
That's a really good pick for
that's
them.
2022.
Man, the Rams just hit on 2 fifth-rounders?
They hit 2 fifth-rounders. That's why they're good. But, again, that's a pretty low. Yeah. That's a low percentage. Back to 2021, which is a 4-year window.
Yeah.
Nobody, really. Evan McPherson, Noah Gray are the only ones I've heard of. And I'm going to give you the 49ers. Fifth-round picks those years.
Wow, this is interesting.
And then you can tell me if any of these guys do it. I know one of them's good.
Okay.
Lenore, cornerback.
Oh, yeah. Devon Lenore.
Yeah, him. This one's a good fifth-round pick in 2021. Hufanga, the safety.
He's always hurt, but he's good.
Okay, well, all right. Daryl Luter Jr.
No, I don't know about that.
And 2022, Samuel Womack.
Oh, yeah, Samuel Womack. No, I've never
That's
heard
what
of
I mean.
Samuel Womack.
So
I was about to say, what?
So that's my point. I'm sure real draft nicks could go through and find some other players that are contributing to teams, in areas that I'm not familiar with.
If they hit on the
fifth
pick,
round, if you hit on it, sure,
works.
but the odds are really slim.
That's why I said just
Seems to
keep
me.
Debo,
So
let him play, and let him go find a new team after the year.
That's why I don't like trading for the fifth-round pick, but that's what teams always trade for. Fifth-round pick.
They do.
Love the fifth round.
Every time.
Really do.
Debo Samuel, all-pro, fifth round. Okay, you're done and done.
Fifth round
like Tom Brady.
Jam, man, they love it.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, do you want 2 firsts? No, I'll take a fifth rounder.
Rather have a fifth. Rather have a fifth. Yeah. Fifth's much better. Anyway, that's kind of the way that goes. All right. We got a lot
worse
more
about my situation, Chris. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to give you the rundown.
Real quick, before you go in there, before you go into your Big Five, I was 1,000% positive that you would have the TMZ story of Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz apparently slugging it out, and it's not in here. I'm super surprised by that.
I find all of it to be very pretentious, and so I didn't put it in there. Because Jordan Schultz, did you know that he's the son of the CEO, the former CEO of Starbucks? And
I did hear that recently.
Yeah, and he in himself reports weird stuff sometimes. Let's talk about it later, though. if you guys want to.
Get to traffic, and then
I didn't ask for your opinion. I was just saying I was surprised. You didn't
you don't always
As
have to
I
give
say,
your
I don't
opinion.
really like the story, and then I give the opinion. All right, here we go.
Stupid story, but here's what I think.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a few things to mention here. Car fire eastbound 8 before Taylor Street. It's over the right shoulder. Still getting a stalled car out of the way on westbound 8 right at the southbound 805 connector. South 805 before H Street. A wood pallet reported in the HOV lane. And still clearing an accident southbound 15 right before the 805. It's in the clearing stage over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
If you love Mediterranean food, try Spiros for authentic Mediterranean cuisine in Coronado or La Jolla. For dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com. All right, we got some Big Five ahead.
Number 5.
And we're going to start with the Buster Olney article. That's right. Buster Olney has been ranking each position around baseball the last few weeks. Chris has gladly paid for the ESPN Plus so that
Is
we
this
can
Buster
read it.
Polney?
This is Olney. Buster Polney is his evil twin.
Okay.
He recently released his best relieving pitchers. Number 1 on the list. Can you guys guess? I think Tony's reading it. But...
Best relief pitchers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Number 1.
I'm not reading it.
Oh,
yeah.
Who do you think's the best relief pitcher in baseball according to Buster Olney?
Clase.
Tanner. Oh,
Chris is right.
Yeah,
Clase is right.
Yeah.
Tanner Scott was number 3.
Okay.
So number 1 is Emmanuel Clase, and then I scrolled, and I kept on scrolling looking for a Padre. The only Padre to make the list was in the final honorable mention spot, and it was someone I did not even expect. Buster only named Jeremiah Estrada as an honorable mention of best relievers in baseball. So, Chris, should the Padres have at least one reliever in the top 10? Actually, I'm changing this.
Okay.
I'm changing this.
Good idea.
Is the best reliever on the Padres Jeremiah Estrada?
Not yet.
Much better question.
Yeah, it's a better question, but no, he's not yet. He hasn't accomplished the same thing. I mean, look, everybody wants to, get rid of Suarez and the whole thing, and he gave up 3 runs yesterday. And all I know is that Suarez knocks down almost every save he was given last year. He had an unbelievable season. I think there was 1 or 2 hiccups along the way. That's an amazing season for a closer. Suarez was awesome.
Throwing too many fastballs.
Yeah, I mean, this guy did the job last year, and I'm glad they haven't replaced him. But I think Jason Adam is a little more accomplished. Estrada had the highlight of the year, though. He struck out 13 straight guys. This never happened before in the history of the game.
That is pretty insane.
But for consistency and longevity, I got to give it to the other guys. Estrada, maybe one day.
All right, Tony, is Jeremiah Estrada the best reliever on the team?
No. I personally think Jason Adam is the best.
Jason Adam, oh man. Yeah.
On the team.
I love that guy. You can go get something to eat in the
I don't know that I've
man.
ever felt – I really don't know that I've ever felt that comfortable with a pitcher coming in out of the bullpen. Like, I don't even – I don't even know that I've ever had a thought of him, like, giving up a base runner. Forget giving up a run. Like, he's filthy, man. He's filthy. And, I think he'd be a closer on any other team he'd be on.
Well, at least they have a guy that they know.
He still might be this year's closer. I know that's crazy.
He very well could
be. There's 3 weeks left. I mean, you could make a trade with Suarez.
Yeah,
it could still happen.
We'll
something to think about. But Jason Adam is. Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. I said it last year, and then he immediately gave up a run the first time I said it. But I said 8th inning. I mean, it's it's like lights out every time.
Yeah,
he's just incredible.
All right.
Number 4.
Former Cardinal Connor Thomas was a 5th-round draft pick in 2019 by the Cardinals, and he never
There's
quite...
that round again.
I know. That's true. He never quite developed how they wanted him to. Then the Brewers selected him in the latest Rule 5 draft and is seeing how much better it is outside of St. Louis. He told Brewers reporters recently, quote, As far as the coaching side of it, there really wasn't a whole lot. It was a bunch of, hey, this is what you do. Just try to go figure it out and figure out how to get hitters out. There were no tweaks, nothing like that, nothing of this. A great organization. I enjoyed my time over there, but I'm happy to be with a team that's on the coaching side of it, doing a little more for me, end quote. It seems like there are more and more complaints about the Cardinals. So, Tony, what happened to the St. Louis Cardinals?
Oh, man, this is a lot to unpack. I'll try to be quick. First, I think there was a change in philosophy. I mean, that is really the only reason why we have Mike Schilt here in our organization. After being a manager of the year, getting his team to back-to-back postseasons, they fired him. And they fired him because he, as a guy that had been in that organization for a very long time and had seen how they consistently developed, consistently made quality big leaguers, and consistently were winning at the big league level through their minor league system. The Cardinals didn't go out and sign big free agents very often. And so they had to do it through their system. At some point, that philosophy changed. And although they still clearly draft well, they got a bunch of studs, Jordan Walker, the shortstop there. They got Mason some guys who can play. Yeah, Mason Wynn, sorry. They got some guys who can play, but clearly the philosophy changed, and guys of that ilk are struggling at the big league level. Not Mason Wynn, but Jordan Walker certainly has had his struggle, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that's a big part of why that has happened. The moment you started seeing them move off of people who had been in an organization like Mike Schilt for so long and bypass bringing a guy in like Skip Schumacher when they had the chance to, you can kind of see how it could have gotten away from them.
All right, that was a pretty good job of breaking all that down in 2 minutes. What is your name? Chris, that's your name. What do you think? What happened to the Cardinals?
Well, everything Tony said is right on. They also finished second in the division last year.
So
they're not completely, fall apart.
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say.
But yeah, I think they changed their way about doing things, and it's been so successful for a long time. So we'll see if they can have some success with this.
Yeah.
Go
yes.
ahead,
I mean,
Tony.
listen, Marmol is who the manager, did a good job with that team last year. He ended up getting them to second place. That being said, the comments from Connor Thomas, I don't think that's something he needs to be putting them on blast for. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not this.
You can have a bad you can have a bad because you never know. You might need to be a Cardinal again at some point.
What if the Brewers want to send you back? He was a Rule 5 draft guy. I'm
just saying, like, all those things he said could be true, but they don't have to be out said in a public setting. Like, you could have just been telling the Brewers folks, man, I'm so happy to be here. Like, you guys are doing so much more for me than I felt like. But to now go to the media, yeah, man, that's kind of, that could be burning a bridge that you don't necessarily need to burn.
Yeah, you don't need to put people on blast.
Number 3.
All right, Duke, North Carolina has been a must-see college basketball game for years and years and years, but lately it hasn't really been that big of a deal, and ESPN fans are making it known they're over it, including this guy over here. A lot of criticism was thrown towards ESPN's way because of how much they pushed this matchup on people. College reporter Dan Wolkin tweeted, quote, ESPN needs an intervention in a 12-step program at this point to let go of its addiction to this increasingly irrelevant game, which I thought was really funny. So, Chris, you're up first. Is Duke, North Carolina still top tier? Big deal.
Not to me this year. North Carolina is not even in the tournament as it sits right now. Appreciate a national writer finally standing up to this. I was watching the, so I think it was Alabama and I don't know, Kentucky or somebody like that. One of those big SEC games. And I was just saying to Lori while we're sitting there, I'm like, these are really good teams. I get that. And the broadcasters build them up like the greatest teams in the history. But you know what? The Aztecs can compete and play with these teams. They just don't get to be on national TV and have broadcasters talking up how great they are 3 times a week. So, I understand, ESPN's a good thing because it gives a lot of exposure to the game, but it can be a bad thing because it's slanted in, what they present. And a lot of people believe that these teams are much better, and they're just not. The players the same goes for the players. Look at the NBA draft. Look at the players that star in the NBA. You don't remember seeing any of them on ESPN during college because they didn't play for the teams that ESPN shows constantly.
Not anymore.
I'm just glad this guy said that. It's not going to change, though. They're going to show North Carolina Duke anyway.
What do you think, Tony? Still a big deal? No.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think those teams have always, up until this point, have always warranted being on national TV. No, Duke and North Carolina for, let's just minus the last 5 years. I don't even know if you can go back 5 because it wasn't that long ago North Carolina was in a final. So, I just think that they have earned that right to be there. And maybe this last couple years hasn't been great. And, maybe in those years, ESPN should look to maybe, bring some of the other schools some limelight. But I don't think that, although I'm a blue blood hater in some ways, I don't think they should be penalized, based off of a couple bad years. I remember growing up watching Jerry Stackhouse and Grant Hill and Allen Iverson and Ray Allen. Like, I remember watching all of these superstars play in college. That's what made it cool to follow their career, right? And a lot of times they came from schools like North Carolina and Duke. That's not the case right now. I think because of the way college sports and landscape has changed, everybody has a chance to shine anywhere they go. So I just think the landscape's different. And so to Chris's point, maybe ESPN needs to kind of change with the times a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. We don't have time for 2 and 1. We have to do a carryover, which we were trying to avoid, but we did not. So what I'll do at this time is Nate is asking, Tony, how many doors do you have behind you and where do they all go? There's legitimately 4 doors I can see. Like, I can see 3, but there's like a door jam on the left.
I hope he doesn't go walking into the closet on his way out the door half the time.
So there's a second bedroom. That's this door right here is to the bathroom. Right?
Okay.
This is a closet.
That is the closet. All right.
This is a closet, and then that's the front door. But it does look crazy. You have 3 doors lined up like that.
I think you're gonna. Yeah, I see you doing a Get Smart Don Adams move.
If I turn my computer more, you see another 2 doors though.
That is a lot of doors. That is so many doors. That is so many doors.
I didn't even think about it until Nate asked that question. That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. All right, we have Dallas Mavericks are continuing to anger their fans, and then Trey Turner pulled the fast one on Max Scherzer, and I think it's kind of hilarious. So we'll talk about that on the other side.
The Maverick story is really good.
Okay.
fans throughout the postseason with a great performance.
Gwynn and Chris are ready to go.
Indeed, we are. Last hour, happy hour, otherwise known as the happy hour. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, 6 o'clock here, 5 o'clock there. Finishing up our Big Five. 2 to go. Shall we hop right to it?
Oh, yes. We need to hop right to it. Skip to the beat. Skip to my Lou. I just needed to waste some time until I got that going.
Number 2.
Yeah, you guys, I can't even tell you how distracted I am right now because there's a massive thing going on the YouTube chat. You could join it by going to night or searching.
What's going on in the YouTube chat?
Some guy named Avo, or some person, guy, gal, Avo Goofy is the name, came on the chat and posted something about back-end parking, about how there's going to be requirements of back-end parking. And it just got the entire chat going. And the one thing that gets me 0 to 60 about the back-end parking thing is when people say, well, I get out faster. Well, I have to wait for you to back in. You're not saving any time. You're taking the 30 seconds to back in that you'll save on the other side.
No one's backing up for 30 seconds. No one.
Have you seen backer-uppers before?
I know it may feel like 30 seconds. It's not actually 30 seconds.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put an end to all of the back-end parkers. I'm just going to ram somebody in the driver's side door while I wait for you to work your way into the spot while I'm just sitting there and you got to back your way in. And I'm, like, come on.
I
drives me nuts.
I want to see it.
It's a 2-1 vote here. I will say this, because I told you guys earlier, I drove up Pacific Highway yesterday. Just my wife and I took a little ride up, just a scenery ride.
Bad to the bone playing on the speakers.
Bad to the bone. Yeah, right. No, we had Alanis Morissette.
Oh, even better.
No, but we got to, I think it was Cardiff. We had a caller earlier from Cardiff. And I think it's Cardiff. On the beach side of the Pacific Highway, if you're driving on that, up the highway. Anyway, all the cars are backed in and they're diagonal. They're not the parallel parking. They're diagonal spots.
Yes.
But instead of being diagonal to where if you were traveling south on Pacific Highway, you would pull in, they have them diagonal to where you have to back in.
See, this causes massive issues.
Yeah, I don't think it's good
no,
either.
it doesn't. Let me tell you why. Especially down near the beach. You are better off being nose out so you can get in and out of that bad boy. The beach is probably the best place to park like that because it's so compact.
Okay.
Because here's what happens. You try to back out. And this is, I think, the backwards parking emergence has happened because people have become less courteous. There was a time that if you were backing out of a spot, the car that is going by would stop, let you pull out, and then go on about your business. That is no longer the case. It is like playing Frogger backing out. You got to pretty much like, all right, here we go. All right, go. And you're like backing out full speed so you can get out. That is why I started parking nose out.
All right, I
got tired of that.
I will give you that. On a busy beach street, I can see why that would be easier. But here's the problem. Number one, you can't wait for a car to back out anymore because you need to go past that car in order to see that it's backing out for you to back in. So here's what we're dealing with, Chris, as drivers with distractions. We have to deal with surfers. We have to deal with kids. We have to deal with bicyclists. We have to deal with police officers in the lane. Now we got to deal with people waiting to back into a spot. This sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
I'm just saying the majority of people that park with nose out or nose in, like normal, like you guys like it, don't get it on the first turn in anyway, especially when there's two cars.
Well, then you need to take your driver's license away.
I see it all the time. So the same amount of time you're waiting for them to reverse, then turn the wheel a little bit more, straighten it out, get it in there, is the same amount of time you're waiting for somebody to back in there. Same time.
Okay. We're going to have a back-in competition between the three of us, or at least Tony and I, because I would win in a heartbeat.
I'm gonna dog.
No, all you have to do is just drive Tony down to the Walmart down here.
Yeah.
And have him sit next to you in the car while 3 or 4 guys try to back their way in, and we'll see how long Tony's patience lasts.
I will click a stopwatch on each one of them.
We'll see how long your patience goes, Tony.
Tick, 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 tick. That's what I'm going to yell at the window.
Tony, I know we have to get to the show, but we have to wait for this person to back in first. So.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Wait.
Hold on.
Oh, Chris, they have to go forward.
Yep, they missed it. They blew it. They're over the line.
Oh, they're backing.
They're
they
going to try
the
it
car.
again.
They've hit the car.
They're going to try it again.
Hey,
oh, gosh.
Less courteous. Less courteous these days.
That's another argument that I hate. That now I'm being judged because I pull forward into my parking spot.
Listen, I didn't say I wasn't judging you. I'm just saying people started backing in because no one will let you back out when you're the other way around.
Avo Goofy is banned from the chat for starting this and fight for like the 7th time.
Avo Goofy. Avo Goofy knows what's up. We all headed to backing in parking.
What did you say?
Avo Goofy knows
Mark
what's up. Okay. All right.
Avo Goofy knows what's up. That's got to reappear on the show again.
All right, I'm going to write it down. 5:06 p.m. Tony Avo Goofy.
Next time we have an argument about something, you just play that. You say, no, Avo Goofy knows what's up.
I don't even think Avo Goofy is there anymore. Well, all right, here we go. Number 2. The Dallas Mavericks, or this is actually someone's tweet. The Dallas Mavericks just sent me my season ticket renewal, and they increased the prices another 8%. You trade away everyone's favorite player, make the team worse, and want to charge us more? Get out of here! I don't know if they said it like that, but that's how I read it. End quote. Is there ever... Who's up first here? Tony, you're going to go first. Is there ever a right time to raise ticket prices?
Certainly not after you traded your best player away and most favorite. That would seem like the worst time to then say, hey, we're going to charge you an 8% increase on the tickets next year. Listen, this is another example of, at least from my standpoint, how I see it, of another ownership group saying, I don't believe you. I don't believe you will drop us if I raise these ticket prices. You pretty much have done everything I've asked you to do every single time with not even batting an eye. So even if you are a little irritated and upset and get on Twitter and say, get out of here.
Get out of here.
I am there. He's willing to bet. Ownership is willing to bet that you'll still come back. The only way you get these cats' attention by not going back in large sums. You can't have a replacement, though, for somebody to come in behind you and buy those same tickets. Like, that is the problem.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Chris, what do you think about this? Is there ever a right time to raise ticket prices?
Yeah.
After you win a World Series?
Yeah, maybe you win it all. The Dallas fans are upset about this. The Mavericks obviously have not done a great job of reading the room. I think the Mavericks are
horrible. I don't think they care.
I think the Mavericks are trying to say, hey, we were just in the NBA Finals last year, but that seems like ancient history now.
It really does.
After what they did. So, yeah, this was not good timing, but the bottom line is Tony's right. I mean, they'll get the normal percentage of people will cancel, but you know what? People cancel all the time anyway. Yeah, it should be a little louder about it this year.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? They'll probably get other people to buy them.
Oh, totally. They have a line.
They're available. Yeah.
Of course they will.
So,
listen,
Tony's right. If you don't like the prices, don't pay it. But we keep paying it, so there you have it.
There was a time where, at least when I was a younger boy, I felt like ownership was afraid of backlash like this. Now that I think that they have tasted it and seen what it actually is, I think they've said, I think I can take it. I can take whatever it is that's coming our way. I don't think it's gonna wreck me. And so, they go. It's a game of chicken, because eventually, I do think people will. You go too far, they will stop. But I don't know that we've reached that.
We're not even close to it yet, Tony. I mean, I don't think we've. The next time you watch a Dallas Maverick game, you tell me how many seats you see down in the lower bowl while they're fanning back, spanning back and forth.
Yeah,
you don't see any.
Nah.
And everybody complains about the prices of every NBA ticket.
You know, when I was
but they're all filled up.
You know, when I was a drinker, my liquor store raised its prices. I was not happy, guys. I never went back again.
And you stopped drinking?
Yeah, right.
No, I just found a place that could drink for the same amount of money. So,
right.
I patronized
so
another store.
Let's stay along those lines. Let's say that liquor store changes prices, and then all the other liquor stores change their prices to the same. Were you going to stop drinking?
It was going to be harder, but I was not going to stop drinking.
No, you weren't.
I was going to be digging. Instead of digging out the change from my car, I would be like turning in cans probably to pay for all this. Yes, Chris, you have
a
your hand
bulletin.
raised.
This is so huge. I can't believe it. Yeah. I just
breaking news?
Well, not really.
Oh,
not at all.
Is it? Okay.
But it's you're gonna like it. I just came upon this. Coming out in production right now is the sequel to one of everybody's favorite movies. Yes, next year we will have a Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh, yeah.
You knew this?
It's been around for like 3 years, this news.
Wow. They're
I don't know
taking
about
them 3 years to put the movie together?
Maybe two. It's been around a long time.
It's been like a year and a half. Yeah, for sure.
I think Shooter McGavin was actually on with Ben and Woods when they announced it.
Gotcha.
I don't know his real name, but
Keegan Bradley, Bryson DeChambeau, John Daly,
That might
Ricky
have
Fowler,
to-
Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, Morikawa, Nicholas, Schauffele, Scheffler, Spieth. They're all in it.
Wow. All right.
That might have to go into the
what?
To the
Tony or Chris?
What was the breaking news? The Bauer?
No,
That
Joe
might have to
Bauer
go in there
category.
with that.
You guys had this, huh? You guys knew this.
I've
Happy
been
Gilmore.
seeing a lot of like them nervous that this movie's not going to be as good as the
Do
first
well,
one.
yeah, I saw that too.
How could this is a sequel 29 years later? Kind of strange.
I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to hope for the best with it. All right.
Number 1.
What was number? Okay, Max Scherzer. He made some news last week after challenging 2 pitches in his brief spring training outing. Over the weekend, Max Scherzer was involved in an ABS system incident, but this time it was Trey Turner playing a joke on him. Turner challenged the first pitch of the at-bat, which was a strike by anyone's definition. Max at first was a tiny bit confused, but then they both started laughing, and he knew what Turner was up to, give him a little bit of grief about his pitch challenges the week before. So, Chris, can hitters use Max's anger against him with a challenge? I think you could get Max off his game for a second. If you challenge a pitch he thinks it's a strike.
It doesn't seem
Max is wild. You know this.
Yes, I do, but it doesn't seem worth it. You're only going to get so many challenges. You're going to give up one of them just to get Matt Scherzer upset for 2 seconds?
Oh, wait. I'm
Seems
not saying
unfair
this should be your
exchange.
strategy at bat, but
Well, what are you changing? What are you
Tony
saying?
says reach.
Reach. This is a reach question.
You can totally see Max think he got screwed out of a pitch, and then someone challenging, and then it's he's still screwed out of a pitch.
No one cares. There's literally something that pops up on the board that will literally tell you who was right, who was wrong. So no matter how irritated he is, they'll put that thing up on the board. And if it says 3 inches off ball, he can be as mad as he wants. Everybody else in the world knows it's a ball. I don't think this is a real thing.
As Tony said, reach. I was reaching for a number 1 topic, let me tell you.
You should have went ahead and used the Jordan Schultz thing for all that.
Oh, yeah, I should have, actually. I mean, should we talk about Jordan Schultz on the other side?
We got to go to break.
Yeah, I know, on the other side. Jordan Schultz. You guys we'll talk Padres, we'll talk Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport.
Boy, everybody, Jordan Schultz, can you say who that is?
It's not a big deal, so.
Who is he?
He's a reporter in the NFL.
You're teasing it.
Okay, yeah. Him and Ian Rappaport got into a little kerfuffle in a Indianapolis Starbucks, which is kind of ironic because his dad is the CEO of Starbucks, or was. Anyway, that's up next.
From the 855, get Ross traffic.
Crisello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Scraby. I don't know. Usually at the end of the show, Tony, especially, you're in Peoria. You know how things are kind of at the end. We grab our stuff. Scraby's getting ready for the Chronicles. We very friendly, say, hey, have a nice evening. Good luck. Have a good show. I don't know if that's going to happen today. If Scraby and I will even speak to each other when the show's over, then there might be a carryover of anger.
What the heck happened? I'm not.
Because I got in the best line of the year earlier in the show. I thought it was still causing you.
It was hot fire.
I mean, which one? The one when you called me fat, or
that didn't happen?
I knew he was gonna.
Yeah, well, that did happen. You said I was like,
no, when you said
I couldn't miss the dinner.
No, when you, I didn't say anything about you being fat.
That was you freeloading.
That was a freeloader comment. No, the one I got you on was when you talked about the young lady who wrote your script for your Master of Ceremonies, and I suggested she start writing your show.
Hot lava.
That was a good one. I got to go back for that. You'll catch it earlier in the show. Download 97.3thefan.sd.com. You can hear anything.
Scraby, don't look so mad, dog.
Padres.
Mad about a lot of things, to be honest. Because
I know, that's what I said.
The backwards barkers are all up in my grill right now.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them.
Let me ask you something, though. As a backward parker yourself, Tony, when somebody like me slams into your driver's side door, are you going to stop backward parking? Or would you just go out the next time and try it again?
Well, I probably, I don't know. I probably will continue to park backwards. Right now, it's a part of me right now. Maybe at some point I'm like, you know what? I don't want to backwards park anymore. Sometimes if I'm in a rush, I don't backwards park. I go ahead and park in there and I deal with it, would come out. But if I got time, and typically when there's no one behind me, it's all day.
That's fine. If you can backward park
all day,
all of you out there,
and I'm pretty good. So even when people are behind me, I still get it in pretty fast,
pretty quick. If no one's behind you, backward park all you want.
You're gonna say that.
That's my thing. I think Scraby agrees. If nobody's behind you, backward park.
Yeah,
all
I don't
you want.
care.
But if somebody's waiting, that's the thing. All right, Padres are off today. They're 3-7 in spring training. There's only 2 teams in baseball, by the way, that have a worse spring training record than the Padres right now. I'm not suggesting that this means anything. It doesn't. But just to give you a little context, Padres are back in action tomorrow. I believe there's a split squad deal tomorrow.
Literally means nothing.
No, I know it does. I know. I just gave the record.
Just want to make sure I get that point out there.
I gave the record
Literally
because people like to, get concerned. Right? I mean, they do.
They do. Don't give them what they want, though.
I shouldn't help them.
What they want.
Braves starting catcher Sean Murphy out 4 to 6 weeks. That hurts.
Ooh, what happened to Murph?
Let's see. And they already traded Travis d'Arnaud, so he's gone. He's an angel. Murphy rib injury. So 4 to 6. Top prospect Drake Baldwin is a candidate to replace Murphy for the opening day here in San Diego on March 27th. Look out for that. Drake Baldwin coming to town. One other thing. Let's see. Luis Gil, last year's American League Rookie of the Year, shut down 6 weeks due to a lat strain. Sorry about that, Yankee fans. Aaron Boone will probably have a comment or two about that one. And did you notice, Tony, the Phoenix Suns are like now 4 games out of a playoff spot? What's up with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Mike Budenholzer? I mean, you've got all-stars everywhere there. They're not even close to getting in.
I mean, they weren't great to begin with. I mean, they were like just inside the play-in, I think, at one point. Then they were in the play-in. Ever since they let it leak that Durant was on the trading block, they have not been the same team. And he had to actually shut that talk down himself.
Yeah.
And so the Bill thing has not worked out ever since they've made that deal. It was clear they were trying to
Bradley Beal, right? They wanted to give themselves a 3 superstar deal, but it just didn't work for them.
It hasn't worked. He hasn't fit in. So
too bad.
They're not playing well. I got to say, I'm not mad about it.
No, I know. I don't think any Laker fan should be concerned about the Suns.
Yeah.
T. Higgins gets the franchise tag from the Bengals, second year in a row. And we've talked about this in the past. If you get the franchise tag, that's the average of the 5 highest salaries at your position. So that makes T. Higgins one of the top paid wide receivers in all of football. Yet nobody wants this franchise designation. Nobody. Even though you're making an insane amount of money.
Because the name of the game is security. And in football, 1 year, it don't even take 1 year. It takes 1 week.
Right.
And it's a wrap. And so that is what these guys are forever fighting for, is long-term security while they're playing, when they're done. And so that's why no one wants to play on it. You know that every football player knows it's only a matter of time before my body breaks down. Will it be on this particular franchise tag?
Understood. One other NFL note. I don't really shed a tear here because I don't watch. Jimmy Johnson, the coach, Jimmy Johnson, has retired from the Fox Sports panel, NFL pregame show. You're not mad at this. Why, you're not a fan, or you just you
no?
don't watch?
Because I don't watch, but I like Jimmy Johnson, and I think that too often it feels like guys are. And listen, this may be the case here, but at least he is presenting it like, I want to retire. I'm done. Seems like so often these guys are kind of pushed out. And you don't hear anything from him.
He's also 81 years old. I didn't realize that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
81.
so good for him, man. He said, I'm too old for this. I'm done.
Could he have taken Terry Bradshaw with him too?
You know what I read in the story? That Jimmy Johnson's first ever coaching job in football, way back.
49ers.
No, Jimmy Johnson was the quarterbacks coach for Louisiana Tech University.
And Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a small world.
Bit of a small world.
They go way back.
You would think that they would just want to ride off into the sunset together.
Terry Bradshaw was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft.
Interesting.
Back in that time. Anyway, I've always been a fairly big Jimmy Johnson fan, except for the fact he seemed to forget how to coach for the 4 years he was the head of the Dolphins. That's the only thing that bothers me. He was a genius.
Goes back to the Dolphins.
Yeah, of course it does. He was a genius the rest of the time.
Did Ross didn't own the team then, did he?
No, Wayne Huizenga brought him in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Wayne.
Huizenga.
Yeah, Jimmy did not have the magic with the Dolphins. All right, do you want to tell about Sergeant Schultz or whatever that guy's name was?
Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport.
So
I don't even know the whole story. I just heard
know what
had
you're
some
talking about, but what happened?
They didn't actually have fisticuffs. Nothing happened. But what happened was, so Ian Rappaport, because Tony said this last week, that Matthew Stafford went to Tom Brady's ranch in Montana to talk about things before he was reacquired by the contract was renegotiated by the Rams.
Before he resigned. Yeah.
So Jordan Schultz was saying that this was happening. Ian Rappaport was saying it's not that big of a deal type of thing. So Jordan Schultz confronted him at a Starbucks and they started talking. And apparently it got a little heated and people were watching this. And Mike Florio, who says he's not a TMZ guy, even though he's always in the middle of these things, was the one reporting that this was a quote-unquote fracas. And in the end, Jordan Schultz says it really wasn't anything too much. Ian Rappaport and I had a verbal confrontation. It lasted a little over a minute. Multiple agents and reporters were nearby. Rappaport was the one who called security shortly thereafter, but it never escalated. This
security?
Is NFL security. This is what people are talking about. And Ian Rappaport said, I never called security, but people are saying that he did to report the incident in kind of like a tattletale type of thing.
Oh,
and so
over there.
Yeah, so there you go. Ian Rappaport probably didn't like that Jordan Schultz was in his
That
face.
just goes to show you, it stuff spreads like wildfire. It made it seem like them two was in there toe-to-toe throwing just haymakers at one another.
Yeah, Pat McAfee had a pretty good joke because he saw Rappaport a couple days later. He's like, man, you really did a good job with that shiner in the makeup, because obviously there is no shiner because they didn't throw punches at each other. But these guys do take themselves too serious.
He did threaten to pour his chai latte tea on him. Never mind.
Who threatened who?
Did he?
No.
Oh,
This is
okay.
stupid.
Joke.
Starbucks.
Do you think
we've connected on about 12% of our jokes today, which is really a poor percentage?
Do you think Jordan Schultz has
we're not comedians, so that's probably the percentage
true.
it should be.
You know, it is funny. You watched Conan O'Brien on the Oscars last night. He's hosting the whole thing. He's probably got a staff of 12 writers, and even his jokes are mediocre most of the time. You know, you're like, not that funny.
I mean, a joke is a lot about the atmosphere you're in, the type of people that I mean,
Right,
the crowd kind of tells you what kind of joke you about to.
I've never missed a joke in my life. Never missed on a
okay.
joke in my life. We have to do the biggest fan, guys. We have to do the biggest fan.
You do.
Congratulations.
Oh, you got it? You're doing it?
Well, I just needed to do it because we're going to go to break.
Go.
Today's biggest fan, Joey Espinoza of Chula Vista.
Joey
Espinoza of Chula Vista. Give us a call back within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for a grand prize. 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Joey Espinoza. Call right now. And when we get back, we're going to be talking with Sam Dykstra of MILB.com.
Some good Padre insight coming your way.
Coming up on
5:37. Last segment of the day. Scraby Chronicles follows. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. All right. Sam Dykstra joined us earlier. You get a chance to hear that here shortly. But before we get to any of that, right now is your chance to win 2 tickets to Kane Brown at Pajanga Arena on March 13th. Limited tickets remain at AXS.com. This is what I'll need from you. The 19th caller to hit up 833-288-0973.
Why that number,
right now?
I wonder.
That's a good number. It's a lucky number. It's a lucky number.
I told you that it's time to start using your number, Tony. 18 or better. Weren't you at 10 at one point?
I was.
Yeah.
I was at 10.
Yeah, because
Dodgers.
we keep getting ranked 19th best show. And I think
in the country, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, but we could be higher if we, started using Tony Jr.'s
There's 18
number.
spots ahead of us, Scrape.
Yeah.
We can get up. We can go further.
We keep getting 19, and I think they think it's really cute, Oh, Gwynn, 19. We got to give him 19. Okay, we're better than 19. Let's move up a slot or two. Come on.
I like the way you're talking.
Yeah.
I like the way you're talking. Scrape show, we
well, he has to now. It's his own fault because he told you to.
Oh
go
yeah,
number
he
19.
has to do the 19.
So he has to go.
That's
I'm sorry, you're number 3. Excuse me, I'm sorry, you're number 4.
So
excuse
that
me, I'm
alone is
sorry,
gonna
you're
get
number
us-
5. I'm
That
sorry,
alone
he's
is
in the
gonna
middle.
get-
He's in the middle.
Sorry,
between right now.
Jeez, like that was our biggest fan. I appreciate Joey.
What are you up to now?
He had some questions, so.
Oh,
he's
you
good.
did the biggest fan. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
the
he
biggest
called
fan
in, and I wanted to clear that spot
Joey,
before.
So
So
you haven't
now-
even started the 19 yet.
Okay, let me.
You can't just count them. You have to bring them on and say,
No.
"I'm sorry, you're number 1. I'm sorry,
Guess
you're
what?
number 2."
There are
You have to do this properly. There's FCC regulations and rules that have to be followed.
There are 6 callers right here. Guess what? Drop all.
Wow.
First 6 are gone.
So you didn't even say hello to the 6. You just dump them.
Okay.
There goes
Another
12.
6 callers. 12. Drop.
Goodness. That's so cold.
He's enjoying this, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Here's the
He's enjoying it.
18th caller.
All of you are
Drop. All right.
First one.
I got it.
Tony
Here,
has
we're
to
gonna
pick a
do
number.
this.
Oh.
Tony has to pick a
No,
number.
it's the 19th caller. This
No,
is
it's
the
the
19th.
19th.
Oh, number
caller.
1's the
Yeah, no.
19th.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Who
Eric,
is it?
are you there?
I'm here. I'm right here.
You are the 19th caller, Eric.
19th caller.
You
Let's
win it all.
go.
Stay right there because I got to get your information and just stay there.
All right.
Yeah, don't
Why don't
hang
you check some traffic, and then you can start in on our interview with Mr. Dykstra,
Okay.
so people can get all this good Padre intel before the show is over.
Okay.
From the
We're glad to have you aboard. Obviously, this is a great time of year. Spring training has sprung. 10 games into it now. The Cactus League is underway. They're fighting for the Cactus League flag. What? I don't know.
Is that a thing? Like I'm learning about this for the first time
You
today.
didn't know? You didn't know? Rob Manfred will visit your organization with a trophy. Now, just some of the things sights and sounds and things that have stood out to you here the first couple of weeks, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in Padres camp, Tirso Ornelas was somebody I was going to be following pretty closely, just because the Padres made some moves this offseason to address the left field spot. They added him to the 40-man roster, so I thought, coming off a good year last year in El Paso, I know El Paso's hitter friendly, but as somebody who had been there for a few years, he finally really broke through, earned that 40-man spot. Then they bring in Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. How is Tirso Ornelas going to respond? Well, so far, 7 for 15, a homer, 4 doubles, 3 walks, no strikeouts. I mean, you can't really ask for much better than that. everything was trending really well for him last year. And I'm not going to get too wrapped up into 7 games of Cactus League play, whether there's a flag involved or not. But it's been a strong start for Tirso Ornelas. I'm sure he's feeling that pressure of somebody who wants to be on the major league team, whether it's the starting left fielder, whether it's potentially the lefty DH in a platoon spot. He wants to be in the major leagues after being in this organization for almost 8 years now. I mean, he was signed in March 2017, and he finally is getting his best chance yet. It's been fun to see him run with that opportunity.
Sam, talk a little bit about that. I mean, Tirso has been in the organization for quite some time, but we're really just starting to hear about him over the last couple of seasons. Just talk about his growth as you've kind of seen him kind of work his way to a chance where a point where he might have a chance to be on this big league roster.
Yeah, I mean, for a few years now, it's always been, hey, he's going to be a corner outfielder. Everything's trending towards left. It's not a great arm, so it's tough to play him in right. He gets to El Paso. If you're going to play in El Paso, you need pretty monster slug numbers that have just never really come for him. I mean, he hit 23 homers last year. That was more than the previous 2 years combined. He had 22 between 2022 and 2023, jumped to 23 last year. Yeah, again, part of that is playing in the Pacific Coast League all year, but the exit velos were all trending above average. The hit tool looked pretty close to average itself. It was looking like, hey, if you can kind of cover him a little bit defensively at the very least, like if you need him to cover left field and don't need him to be spectacular, if you have a Jackson Merrill and a Fernando Tatis Jr. to cover tons of the ground on the other areas of the grass, you can make it work. So we're going to pump him up pretty significantly when we update our preseason rankings just in a few days here when we do the NL West on Wednesday. But, again, they bring in some more veteran types. You bring in a Jason Hayward. That's a win now move. That's a defense now move at this point in his career. But Ornelas, to his credit, he has started hitting for more power, and I think that's been the key for him finally cracking through on that 40-man.
Sam Dykstra,
he really moves well too, surprisingly well in the outfield. He's made a couple nice plays during spring so far.
Yeah, I mean, he was somebody who was even getting a little bit of first base time last August and September because they were just trying to see, like, well, maybe this is how it works. And, as you guys know, once you start moving a guy to first base, he really has to hit. So for him to improve his athleticism a little bit and show, guess what, I can add a little bit with the glove too. I'm not a complete negative out there. That's only going to help his case. I mean, I thought coming into this spring, his best chance was going to be at that DH spot. I know I mentioned him as a platoon, maybe facing a lot of righties. His splits were actually pretty even last year. I think that's to his credit as well. But yeah, if he can edge past Joe, edge past Hayward, and show that he can provide defensive value as well, that's going to be huge for his case.
Sam Dykstra, MILB.com. Sam, the Padre fans, look, I think this is fantastic what Ornelas is doing. Some of these other young guys, we're getting to shine a little light on them. But Padre fans really only want to know about two guys in the minor league system and the young guys. And that is, Ethan Salas and Leo Dallas DeVries. Those are the two. And, we've seen a little of each. DeVries has a couple of hits. He's walked 3 times, shown pretty good plate presence. Salas banged a double a week or so ago. Anyway, where are these guys in reality in your mind? And where do you think they are in reality in the Padres organization's mind?
Yeah, I mean, they trust those two guys inherently. I mean, there's a reason why they are in Major League camp. Part of me wants to think like, well, it's San Diego. They get aggressive with everybody. They want the world to see these two great 18-year-old prospects that they have. But talking to people on the side, it's something about these two guys that they love specifically. I mean, they're not doing it with the Cash Mayfields of the world, their first-round picks from last year. They're the Tom Hightower, who they do like from last year's draft, but he's not in Major League camp like Leo DeVries is. The thing that stuck out for me so far, yeah, you mentioned that Salas double that I think went around, not just San Diego internet, but all of prospect internet after he had a rough year last year. Like, oh, the power is still there. It's working. But for me, I think the most interesting thing is that he's walked 4 times in 12 plate appearances. Coming off a tough year where his OPS was below 600, you could kind of forgive him if he just got up there and was swing happy, right? Trying to prove to the world that, guess what, I can hit. and I'm going to show it to you against Major League Arms. That's a quick way to fail. Clearly, his approach is advanced. It helps that he's a catcher, right? He's a really gifted defensive catcher. He knows the strike zone well because he sees so many pitches. But he's leaning into that aspect of his game. And if he can be that selective and start driving the ball with more authority instead of getting under it, which I think was his major problem last year in High A Fort Wayne, I think Ethan Salas is going to get right back on track this year. So showing that level of discipline is a positive sign for me.
Sam, I mean, going around the National League West, obviously, I think by most people's account, this is going to be the toughest division in baseball. We know we're very familiar with the two top prospects that the Padres have. Do the Giants, the Dodgers, or the Diamondbacks, do they have anybody that is young, that's an up-and-coming prospect that could show up this year and perhaps, maybe make some noise?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few types in there, like Bryce Eldridge of the San Francisco Giants. I think about him. He fits Giant to a T, and I don't mean just the team name. And he's legitimately a Giant at first base, and he looks a little bit like a draft, like he's still growing into his power. But it's some of the best raw power in the minor leagues, and we've seen it so far over there in Scottsdale. It's played pretty well this spring. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the spring breakout, which is coming up here in a few weeks as well. But then you look at the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers seem to just develop guys extremely well. They know what to target when they make when in the draft. They know who to target when they make trades. The guy who stood out, you're not going to see him this year, I don't think, but is Zaire Hope, an outfield
Oh yeah, we saw him earlier.
Yeah, 20 years old. He's not on that level of Salas and DeVries for us yet. He's number 74 on our top 100. That's because he dealt with injuries last year, but got to see him in the fall league. He's a potential up the middle talent as a center fielder. He's made a lot of good defensive plays, and the power plays really well. He's got advanced approach already at 20 years old. He just needs at bats, and that's going to come pretty quickly. And as he's shown, like, he is an aggressive hitter. You throw it in the zone, he's going to hit it out to right. He's going to pull the ball and get out in front of it and jump on mistakes. It's a pretty advanced approach and skill set for Zaire Hope. So he's somebody definitely to watch. Even if he doesn't come up to LA this year, you're going to be hearing a lot more about Hope in the years to come.
Sam, again, we had, what was it? Corbin Carroll was 2 years ago. And then he fell off a little last year. Let's be honest, for his standards. They're looking for a big bounce back. Jackson Merrill was incredible last year for the Padres as a rookie. We all still think he should have won Rookie of the Year. We'll never convince the Paul Skeens that. But my point is, after what Corbin Carroll did the first year, nobody could see him sliding backwards a little, and that's what happened. So how does Jackson Merrill, how do the Padres help him? What, the old sophomore slump thing that, I don't know if it's real, but it's happened enough to where, it's on the back of my mind a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I will give Jackson Merrill credit for, and this isn't a knock against Corbin Carroll, but traditionally he's been a little bit healthier than Carroll has. I think what you were seeing in the second half of last year was Corbin Carroll just getting used to playing 100-plus games again. Coming off that big rookie year, he looked a little worn down first half last year, made some adjustments as the season wore on, got hotter down the stretch. But I think that was part of it. I think Merrill's a little bit more used to that. The exciting thing for me is that I think Merrill can still grow going off of last year, and he's actively talked about that. Like, it worked. Everything worked offensively for him. You can't complain, but he was chase heavy. And teams are going to try to take advantage of that, and that's potentially where the sophomore slump comes. But he's not looking to just repeat next year. He's trying to build on that and maybe even become a better defender, if you can believe it, with one extra year of comfort. I just think there's more growth opportunity for Merrill because he was learning a new position last year. Like I said, the chase rate was pretty rough. I think if he corrects those mistakes, there's no reason why the train can't keep moving.
Well, I'm hopping aboard if that's the case. Hey, Sam, we appreciate everything. Great insight, as always. I look forward to catching up with you again. I mean, the rookie situation is just so different in baseball now, right? Guys used to come up and you're like, hope the guy can, hit 270 and, play a little bit. Totally different now. These guys come to the big leagues. They're ready to, have a Jackson Merrill type season, a Corbin Carroll season. And I imagine it'll happen again around baseball this year. And look forward to talking to you about it. Sam, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Sam.
Hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks so much for reaching out.
Very good. Sam Dykstra there. You got a little knowledge. Some Ethan Salas talk.
Yeah.
Salas. Can you say Salas?
I've said both, but I've heard. Yes, you can
Did you ever
use
see the
those
Jerry
letters.
Seinfeld episode where they did a whole thing on the pronunciation of salsa?
No, but
didn't see that one. Huh?
I did not. No.
Typical Seinfeld episode about nothing.
I mean, it's pretty amazing that they could make something out of that.
Yeah. Salas, and DeVries.
Oh, by the way, I found out that Leo Dallas, he likes to go by Leo, so it makes it easier on us to say his
You don't have
name.
to say the Dallas part of it
No,
anymore?
he likes Leo. I can't remember who I was talking to about that, but they told me he likes Leo. I think it was Sam Levitt who said that.
I don't think we need to really know it for another year or two.
No, but I've been trying to say
training camp.
I've been trying to say Leo Dallas DeVries, but
You think if you run into him next, we're going to spring training 2 weeks from today, by the way. We'll be there. It's coming up quicker than you think. 2 weeks from today, we'll be at spring training.
Oh my gosh.
If you bump into him, will you go, "Hi, Leo Dallas"?
No, I'll say, "Hey, Leo."
Really?
What's up?
Good luck with that.
Tony, they're asking, Tony had to go to a dinner, but that's where he's at.
Oh yeah,
he got lost in the doors of Narnia.
Right. He had plenty of time to get there. He needed extra time to figure out which door to use.
He did. If you missed it, he had like 4 doors behind him.
It was pretty funny. It looked like he was playing Let's Make a Deal in his apartment complex there. Duke is the number 2 team in the nation. Looks like they're going to hang on to that spot. Oof. They're leading Wake Forest now 84-47.
Jeez.
4 minutes to play. Cooper Flagg, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I was just telling Scraby, they're up by 37 with 4 minutes to go, and they still won't bring any of their subs in the game. Like, can these guys at the end of the bench who practice and work their butts off every day get some playing time? You're up by 37 points. Like,
no, apparently
what's the
not,
problem
Chris.
with that?
Apparently not.
I don't like that. Coaches, you guys are weird. You're a weird bunch. Speaking of weird, Scraby Chronicles are next.
I'll take it.
That's a good lead in for you.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right. Enjoy it.
All right.
And we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks to Sam Dykstra. Also, Ryan Finley from the UT making his debut on the show today.
Yes.
Ryan, nice work. And everybody be nice to everyone out there. That would be a good way to end your Monday. And we'll see you tomorrow.